I was going to
You really pringled that one up.
I really pringled that up. Oh, I guess we just use it as an adjective or as a verb.
Yeah, for some reason, Bo's pulling this off in the way that like Smurfs do with the word Smurf.
Yeah,
like every time Bo uses Pringle, I'm like, oh, he used that properly in the sentence.
Maybe it's because his parents
had a little extra Pringling on my dinner today.
What was your dad's name? Quick, what was his
name?
A
little Pringle in my step.
What was your dad's first name?
My dad?
Yeah.
Stephen. V.
I was hoping it was Julius. Because if it was Julius,
there's no Julius in my family.
Crap. All right.
Crap. Oh, shit. I'm going to lose a bet.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Let's do a show. I got all the things lined up, so there's no point in not doing it, I guess. Hold on. Okay. Sweet. All right. Here we go. This is it, everybody. Enjoy this conversation about games and other stuff, and thanks for being here for our little thing up front. And if you're a patron, you get that every week, so you want to probably go sign up for that. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Core. This is Core, where we talk about... Hold on. I had a little Dr. Pepper before the thing. I apologize. The zero sugar really got to me.
This week's episode brought to you by Dr. Pepper. What's the color of the can, Scott?
This one's I don't know, black and red. Look at that. Zero sugar. Sweet.
The check from Major Melon didn't show up, so now we're on to Dr. Pepper.
Oh, that's right.
He's a doctor. He's got to have money.
I may have
drank. They don't pay people in the military near as much as they pay doctors.
That's true. I may have drunk us out of Major Melon this week, so I'm a little ashamed to admit that I consumed, I think, an entire, whatever comes in those long boxes. How many is that? Like 9, 10 pack?
12.
12 is it? Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, my wife had 2, so I probably drank 10 of those over a week. I don't know if that's good or bad. Probably not great.
Probably fine.
You think so? I don't know, man. What if I go get blood tests in June? What if I go in there and they go, you're more flavor than man, or I don't know what they'd say.
I just picture a scene where you're sitting there with your family and all of a sudden you go, excuse me, and then you stand up and you go to the bathroom and the tense music slowly builds. Yeah. And you just start coughing and coughing, and then you look down at your hands, and it's just watermelon seeds.
And then I show them slowly, and then the music starts, and then I spend 8 months in the hospital trying to deal with my seed problem. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show.
The only thing you got to worry about is your Mountain Deuterium in your blood when you get your blood work done.
My Mountain Deuterium, is that what you called it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's 1/3, then you're in trouble.
You know what I should do? If they say pee in a cup, I just straight up pour Major Melon into a cup. What are they gonna do? You know, like, do you think anyone's ever done that just as a joke? Just go in there and they say pee in your cup, and you just pour whatever whiskey in there, whatever you feel like putting in there to freak them out, and then make them go test it.
You wouldn't do it to your own self because it wouldn't be funny. They'd just be like, "I'm trying to help you. What are you doing?" Like, I think and it's hard to intercept other people's pee. Like, the way it would be funny is for you to do it to someone else.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just like, sitcoms make it look easy, but it's really hard to engineer a scenario where you intercept pee in a container to replace it with something.
Yeah.
But I mentioned it's possible.
Someone has to have done this. Someone somewhere has done this. I don't know who it was, and I don't know what the circumstance is. And if you have, write in and tell us about it. But if you ever substituted some other beverage or liquid for your own pee, and I don't mean using their friend's pee because you were stoned and there was like pot in your blood and you're getting a blood test. I don't mean that.
Yeah, no, like, Trailer Park Boys stuff.
No, none of that. None of the.
That was a whole season. They had a pee ring.
Oh, they had
a pee crime syndicate.
I forgot about that.
We want to know if you did it as a prank.
Is that new season out? Because they're in jail in the new season. I want to see that.
It's on SwearNet, but I don't think it made it to Netflix. It's just called Trailer Park Boys Jail.
I think it's coming.
And I don't know why I haven't paid for it. It's only $2, I think, to join SwearNet. Like, it's not expensive.
Really?
I really want to. I think it's all out now. So
all right. I want to go watch that. I'll have to check. I have some Plex connections. Anyway, hey, welcome back to the show. And now let's get into it here. It's a big week for video games. If you like having the living poo scared out of you, because tomorrow people will be able to get their hands on the hot new release Resident Evil 8, or as they prefer it, we call it Resident Evil Village. And the reviews and the buzz so far have been pretty good. People seem to really quite like it. And I'm happy to say that some reviews that I read, knowing that I was probably going to have to play this, and now it's confirmed, and I'll tell you about that in a minute, but some of the reviews were saying it's not all about running away from that vampire lady, the tall lady. And that's good. I don't want her to be the nemesis type thing in this. I guess for the bit she is. But the game apparently really straddles like a whole handful of sort of horror tropes and make it a really nice package of a bunch of different kinds of horror. And I'm into that in terms of like, variability of gameplay and that sort of thing. But I'm also terrified because apparently even the strongest among some of my friends who have preview copies, there have been moments in that game where they've had to like back up, turn it off, and leave for like an hour because there's like moments that are that shocking or that scary. So that being said, shout out to Badger Lord who does this every time one of these comes up, and he bellied up to the bar following the rules that I have that I won't pay for my own scary video games. He donated a copy of 8, which is now happening. John will likely be the tag-along there, although we haven't scheduled the times, but we'll figure it out. And you'll get to hear me scream like a young child as I play Resident Evil 8 out tomorrow. Aside from that, are we excited? John, you love the series, so you're all about this. Pretty stoked, right?
I'm excited. I was on Discord asking if our Discord listeners felt I should play it separately from you and be there as a guiding voice for you, which is where they ultimately said I should, because they know that I'm not going to coddle you. They know I'm not going to prep you for anything. They know I'm going to let you walk into any scare that I know is coming, but that I will keep you focused on the task at hand. Mm-hmm. So that is what they requested of me, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be playing it tonight, tomorrow, whenever it unlocks. And
when does it unlock?
Looking forward to it.
Is it tonight, like midnight kind of thing, or
I don't know. Usually it's the night before, but the release date is definitely tomorrow. Let me see. What does Steam say?
Well, while you're looking that up, this is the sounds I make when I play these games. All right, I warned you. That's what that's going to sound like, and it's going to get worse. So I think that was Grandma in the last game. Yep, that sounds like Grandma. That was her. She scared the hell out of me in 7. So there is no VR. My understanding is no VR in this version of the game. But even if there was, I'm not playing it that way. No way. Not a chance. I didn't do it with 7. I'm not doing it here. And it's going to be something else. Bo, are you give me your interest level on something like that.
I'm curious, but only because that lady's kind of hot. Vampire lady. Not gonna lie, I'm always like, I don't care about Resident Evil, and I see that beautiful woman, and I'm like, oh man, video game women, they're getting really beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like she's I feel like I missed.
I know that's a weird thing.
No, you're not the only one. There's tons of
people.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. People really find her attractive. I don't know what my problem is. I think she's weird and freaky, and I don't like. I know what it is. Okay, I have a story. I'll tell you a quick story, and this will tell you why I don't like girls that are taller than me. It's not some power play, and it's not some weird like men should be taller. Any of that. Okay, plenty of people I know
attracted to, or you just don't like them. Like
I'm
idiot.
I'm afraid of them, and weirdly, well, okay. Here's what happened. This girl in high school, she was working behind the counter at some, I don't remember the restaurant, and I thought, ooh, I'd like to go out with her. She's like 2 inches taller than me, but I didn't care. I'd like to take her out. And she was very pretty, super nice girl. Got the nerve up, asked her, got the date all set. And I said, Dad, such and such date's coming up. It's like a Saturday night. Can I please use the keys to, at the time, we had a Nissan 300Z. And the reason we had this hot black sports car with a freaking T-roof is because my dad would bring cars from California and then auction them here. But they were always rotating, so we always had something new. But we almost always had something that was cool that I could drive for dates. And it was pretty rare we didn't have anything cool. So he says, yep, I think I'm going to still have that car, that whole, it's going to be another 2 weeks because the turbo's broken. I got to fix that before I can sell it. So you won't need the turbo, but everything else works. So you'll drive that night. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take this super hot girl on this date, and it's going to be amazing. And the weekend comes around, and I go outside like Friday and go, "Where's the Nissan?" And my dad goes, "Oh, we had somebody give me an offer I couldn't refuse, so I had to let it go." I'm like, "Dad, I got this date tomorrow with a super hot girl." Blah, blah, blah. He says, "You'll be fine. I've got other cars." I said, "Well, what other cars?" The only car he had left for me to use was a 1986 Yugo. And I'm not kidding. A Yugo.
I don't know cars very well. I gotta search this up.
Dude, the Yugo is infamous. Well, it was Yugoslavia had a car company. It went away because of the war there. Okay, so that's how long that lasted.
Oh, it's like a car Mr. Bean would drive.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And it would be for comedy effect and things would fall apart. So here's how this all goes down. I don't have a choice. It's the best thing I can do. So I take the Yugo. This girl, again, I'm 6'4". She's 6'6", 6'7" almost. Super tall. Supermodel-like tall, right? We both have to cram into this tiny, tiny car. And they are notoriously a giant flaming piece of shit, these cars. They break. They do all sorts of... They're just horrible. And halfway through the day or halfway through the night, we're driving to, I don't know, a movie or food or something. And I'm at an intersection. The light turns green, and I go to turn left. And I start cranking on the wheel, and the steering wheel comes off the column. Comes right off the column, and the car drifts into the curb.
It's a Mr. Bean car.
Yeah, it's a Mr. Bean car. You're not wrong. So I looked at her, and then her hands turned into long pokey knives, and she cut me to pieces. No, that didn't happen.
Oh, okay. I do see why you're afraid of tall people. I was waiting for why this impacted your feelings on tall women. I was worried we weren't going to get there, but we did.
Well, then did she
get really upset?
No, she was.
Came off?
That's the worst part, is that she was super nice through the whole thing and very understanding, but I could not get over how embarrassing it was. And the night ended early. I can't remember. I think my dad had one of his friends come out there with a truck and drive us back, like some shitty thing like that. And it destroyed my ego. And from then on, if I saw a really tall girl, I would go, nope. Not that she's not the problem, obviously, but it just reminded me of it, and I couldn't do it.
It was traumatic for you, and thus triggering your trauma.
Yes, it triggered my trauma. So as a result, I never did that again.
And it's probably a scary feeling to be driving in a car and have the steering wheel come off.
Yeah.
Like nothing bad happened. That's very
the best
good.
part of this story. The very next week, he gets a BMW in there, some hot freaking two-door BMW. I could have had it if I had just 1 week later. So, but that had a bullet hole in it.
There was no follow-up, like, I got a better car this week?
No, and I should have. I was just so embarrassed. And also the Beamer had a bullet hole in it. It's a long story. He would buy these cars that were like involved in like shootings and all kinds of stuff. Really dirt cheap.
Auction cars. Yeah.
And sometimes from police or police departments, he would buy these cars, bring them here, fix them up, and then sell them. And in this one case, this is kind of awful, but somebody had walked up to this dude while he was in his car, window down, gun to the back of the head, fires. When he drives the car back to Utah, he drove it the whole way like this. This driver's seat is drenched with dried blood. And I don't mean
it came like
they had all the evidence. It was wiped for evidence and stuff, but part of it was you buy it, you clean it, and all that. So they got whatever evidence they needed. But it still had that on the seat, so it just stained. And then across from where the angle was into the door of the opposite side was a bullet hole. And somewhere dangling around inside of there was a bullet. And if you drove fast enough on the highway, you could hear it going ding, 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 ding.
Oh my
wow.
God.
That was amazing.
So it was weird. I had a weird...
Yeah, that might not have been that great of a follow-up date car.
No.
Yeah. Especially if you had gone to like see Pulp Fiction or something like that.
I've got a better car. Don't worry. You roll up with a bullet hole, real bloodstained car.
Get to the scene where Harvey Keitel and them are cleaning out the car and just go, "This was us a couple of nights ago." Yep. Can you believe it?
So literally, when I see this
steering wheel is going to stay on. Trust me.
I wish I'd have kept that steering wheel. That would have been a real cool keepsake. But so now when I see back to the point, I see Resident Evil 8 lady, and I go, "Ugh, she's too tall."
Like, this is gonna go badly. This is gonna go badly.
Yeah,
I know it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I hope she gets in a car with you during that game. That would be just.
Oh no. I didn't even think about that.
That would be just amazing.
I freaking hope not. I'm putting it out there right now. I just wanted to get out on top of this. I'm not playing this on anything more than whatever the lowest difficulty is. Okay, I'm doing that. That's happening. It's part of my rules. I don't want to be hindered by difficulty when trying to run for my life from everything. And that's what I've done with all these games.
As quickly as possible.
I did this with all these games except for 3. I thought, oh, John's here. Plus, I can just crank it a little bit. It's okay. And I regretted it and changed it back. So
I've thought that before too.
Yeah,
I encourage you to keep it at normal difficulty for as long as possible, and you made a good ways into that game before you bumped it down.
Yeah, I did it until that boss fight where you're in the, what was it? Not a stadium, but the dude kept flying around hiding behind billboards.
Yeah,
Nemesis did, and then would jump out, and I can't remember how all that went, but it took me forever, a million tries. I knock it down 1 notch, and I killed him in like 2 shotgun blasts, so that was pretty good. But we'll see. I don't know. 7's a different animal, so I assume 8 is more along those lines. And it's so atmospheric and so scary, I'm just going to lose it. I'm going to lose my mind. But that's tomorrow. Reviews are hot, looking good. Nice to see a big AAA game getting a bunch of advance excitement without a big delay in the year of delayed COVID delays. So yeah, get on it. PC and, let's see, PS4, Xbox, not next gen though, right? Or new gen?
No, it's next gen. Yeah.
Is it? Hold
Isn't
on.
it? Yeah.
Better be. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
it's a next gen game.
Village PS5. Let me just look.
I want to see that X-S.
I mean,
symbol.
the nice thing is you don't have to worry about it so much with the Xbox because it's like they're just like, we'll give you the best version. Don't worry about it.
Oh, there it is.
Just
You're
get
right.
the game you want, and we'll just give you the best version.
You're
Just-
totally
you'll be
right.
fine.
Yeah, and I've been told a couple of times that if I thought the bee crotch lady from the last one was bad, that I should be prepared for something worse. So,
Ooh.
yeah, I don't know if that has to do with crotches or bees. Maybe it's a lady in a bee crotch. I don't know. I have no idea how they're going to
Maybe
top
it's
that.
bee crotches.
It could be bee
Do
Do
crotches.
you think you still heal by pouring water over your hand in a gentle and loving fashion?
I hope so. If they get any more serious about healing, then I'm out, because that's the best part, is that dumb healing thing. Now, you've seen this guy a lot. I'll put it up on the chat, and I'll show you guys in here. I don't know what this guy's deal is and when I will encounter him, but every time I see him, he's usually animated and his lower jaw twitches, and he looks horrifying, and I'm not into it at all. So I don't know what this is going to look like or how that's going to be handled, but F whatever this noise is. This looks like it's outside.
It's like evil Hulk.
Oh gosh,
I wonder
dude.
if it's Chris. What if it's Chris?
Oh, it
That's
could
what
be Chris.
Becomes.
Could be
That's what he
Chris.
gets for punching a boulder.
It's what it gets for you not liking him at all, right? You hate
Yeah,
him.
Chris is awful. Chris is just dumb.
I love your hate for Chris, because I don't actually really have a feeling for him one way or another, but John just really dislikes Chris Redfield.
It's just that Resident Evil 5 was a bit of a disappointment, and Chris in that game, they jacked him up to that like inflatable suit kind of level as far as his muscles go, and you know, the kind of guy you stick something on their back just to mess with them because they can't reach it.
Yeah.
They can't reach back there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, God, they made him such a meathead in this game. And you get to the last boss, and there's a part where a boulder, like the size of a small house, lands in front of him, and he's like, I gotta get past it, and he's pushing it, and then he just starts punching a boulder repeatedly. I was like, man, what? Like, not in a cool way. There's a cool way to punch a boulder if you're an anime character, but when you're just a man, just a big muscly man, you're just like, I'm so gonna punch. It's just dumb.
That was pretty dumb. I'll give you that. But yeah, I don't know who's in this one. Anybody we else know besides Ethan? We're gonna see
his wife, probably.
Ethan's
is gonna
wife.
Be in it.
I still don't like. I'd have divorced her after that game. Things did not. That was not good. The stuff you saw with her, forget it. It's things she turned into and did to you. I'm moving on.
What's her name? Mia? Is it Mia?
Nia, with an N.
No, it's
Nia.
not with an N.
Isn't it Nia? A Mia?
No.
Maya? Oh wait, RE7 girlfriend. Let's find her name. I think it was. I want to say it was Nia or Mia. Or...
She was important, right? She actually worked for Umbrella or something like that, I think is the reveal.
Why are they
She was,
blurring
like,
out images? They're blurring images out. Oh, Mia. It is Mia. You're right. M-I-A. Oh, Mia Winters is her name, and I guess he's Ethan Winters. All right. Well, anyway, yeah, I would have divorced her. Anyway, the point is that movie's coming, or that game tomorrow. Preload and get ready, everybody, because Resident Evil all over your face. All right, check this out. Nintendo's working on a new game to teach you how to make video games. I watched this video. It's pretty interesting. Basically, kids must play for 16 hours a day, including some weekends. Parents will be forced to threaten their kids' lives if the game doesn't meet their expectations. You got to hit it on time. You got to get your release goals out there. You got to make those shareholders happy. But no, it actually looks like a really cool object-oriented kind of game maker type thing.
Yeah. It's called Game Builder Garage.
Yeah. And it's pretty cool. I was talking to somebody today who just graduated from the university here with an engineering degree in game development, and they were saying that this is not unlike a lot of tools used today to create kind of and if or and telling, what the environment should do if I make this choice versus what it should do if I do here, or that kind of stuff. It's not that different than that, and I don't know, it's pretty cool.
Game Maker and stuff like that, where they take care of the render aspect. You just load up the images and whatever the trigger instructions are, collision.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of that stuff, I mean, not all of it. Obviously, people can sit down to a command line and get really under the hood, and many do. But, if you're using an engine, a lot of times those engines have stuff built into it. Like you need stuff that handles 50 players in the space at one time in the kind of game you're making. Chances are you're doing that with plugins and libraries that come from other games or from tools that are either sold or used to make and build games. So I think it's a perfect time to teach some kids like some rudimentary entry level stuff if your goal is to have the next generation of designers and
it even does the node thing that is pretty popular now. It's like an Unreal and a lot of stuff where you program your clauses through these nodes.
Yeah. It's cool, right?
Rather than writing code, so it's visual.
I mean,
it makes it a lot easier in a way. I mean, yeah, it's definitely easy visually to understand and grasp a concept. It's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
I think if you know how programming language works, it's like a little bit like, but it's all right. It's good.
Yeah, because the thing is, these tools, like even these kind of visual tools, exist for developers now. It's just that they were built by somebody to be used on the game they're making. So you might have some mid-level employees that all use this visual tool to build quests and scenarios in a certain kind of game, or build maps in a game that they don't need to have the raw coding advantage for. So this will be good for that kind of people, but there's still always going to be the need for somebody who can just sit down and build something from nothing.
I think it helps even if you're eventually going to get into coding or something a little more low level, because understanding the concepts, like what the layers are of game design, because it's pretty much the same for all games. Like there's an architecture to it. Like it varies widely between programs, but like there's the game loop, the render, the render aspect, the calculation aspect, the game update aspect, getting input, like all that stuff is like fairly standard across all games. Like there's a commonality to all of them. So getting the concepts down, then going to coding would probably be really beneficial to like a young person.
Yeah, I want a game based on this little dude on the that they show on this article. There's this little like robot looking little
Julius Block.
Is that his name? His name not Julius.
No, I don't know. I'm just thinking about our dear friend Julius Pringles.
Of course. This comes out on June 11th. Let's see, $29.99 and
free to play.
No, it'll cost $29.99. It'll cost you $30. Yeah. That sounded funny. It'll be $30. Ooh, free to play.
Sorry, I didn't know. I need to listen.
Yeah, but look, you can do like platforming business, and I don't know. This is like a 3D adventure-y thing. Seems all right. Maybe this is kind of their answer to what's the Sony thing? Dreams, Media Molecules game. Is that what I'm thinking of? Dreams. Yeah, that thing's amazing. When in the right hands, that thing. Pfft, what the f? I saw somebody create a digital version of a painting in there. I couldn't believe it, and it was all through program stuff. It was nuts. So yeah,
on which software?
The Dreams? Sony Dreams thing, the PlayStation 4 and 5 thing. I forget what it's called. I think it's Dreams.
It's Dreams. It's called Dreams.
Yeah. Anyway, it's pretty neat. So if you're into it, it sounds like a real fun hackery thing. $30 is a pretty low barrier to entry, and might be good to get your kids. Comes out on June 11th. Mass Effect Legendary Edition which is probably all John thinks about when he's not thinking about other things. That's all he thinks about.
I think about it a lot, especially recently. It's now my desktop background. So
very nice.
Thinking about it.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're thinking about it a lot. That's good. Well, it will let you make your own custom PS4 and Xbox One case art. So I don't know how that works though. So John, how does that work? What do you do?
So you go to the website. I put the link there in the article, and it's fun. Like honestly, I got kind of addicted to messing around with it, and it basically says, hey, are you a Paragon? Are you Renegade? Are you neutral? You pick that. It just starts asking you to pick favorite squad mates and stuff like that. And you go, okay, well, I like these characters. These are my favorites. And then, who's your trusted companion? And you pick one there. And then you go down the list and all right, now pick the cavalry. You pick 3 more. The backups, you pick 2 more. And then pick a background location. And when it's all said and done, it generates essentially a version of the box art that they're using for the game, but now custom made with the characters that you've picked in the art, which you can then download. And you can, in fact, download a version that is the right size and dimensions and layout and includes the background to where you could slip it into like a DVD case or whatever to be the background if you bought a physical version of the game, the physical copy of the game.
And in my case, I just made a 4K wallpaper out of it.
You can also do wallpaper, which is the wallpaper I was talking about.
Yeah, that's cool. So that's how you got your new wallpaper. I'm gonna fiddle with this. This seems like fun.
It's stupid fun. Like it's really shouldn't be as fun as it is. But I just had a good time, and I like the style of it because it's, it looks like everybody did a nice little filter pass on what the PC graphics were. Mm-hmm. And the results are typically pretty good. So that got me excited about Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is also coming out soon. And you're right. I'm thinking about that game a lot.
Can I do a wallpaper that's just nothing but Miranda Lawson just every 2 inches? Like...
No, you use them up, which is unfortunate because I do think that should be a possibility. I think they really left something to be desired. It should let you pick the same character over and over again.
Yeah.
If you just want nothing but Mirandas on the cover of your game, you can do it.
I like her a lot. I'm also watching her, the actress who played her on Handmaid's Tale this season, and she's really good on there. She's kind of evil, but she's good. All right. Well, that's pretty neat. Go check that out. That's over on the EA site, actually. You can find it at ea.com/game/Mass Effect, and there's a link to it right there. Okay. Bo, we talked about your interest in Mass Effect and if that was a thing you'd cared about getting. Like,
I think I'm actually going to do it and get it on my Xbox, I think.
Me too. I think that's where I'd want to play it. And I'd also just need someone who I trust to tell me if that first game gets converted in a way that I like or not. Because I have
a feeling I keep my expectations low. A lot of these remasters, I think it's just going to be boxed all in one together package.
Yeah,
my expectations I'm keeping a little low.
Yeah,
on what it's actually going to be. It's just going to look. I think the graphics will probably look nicer. That first game really ran kind of poorly on PC in terms of it doesn't have high definition or anything. It's really dated.
Yeah.
So there'll probably be quality of life on the first one. It'll be most noticeable on 1 and 2. I heard that the soundtracks for 1 and 2 are also copywritten because they sold the movie rights to Warner Brothers.
Really?
So they'll be demonetized or taken down on YouTube and Twitch and stuff. So if you're planning on streaming it, that's a thing that people's been talking about.
So I posted that on Twitter the other day because that's where I saw it. People saying that Warner Brothers is filing copyright claims and you might get a DMCA notice on your Twitch if you stream it. But I did have somebody respond back and said they've had those rights for a long time and people have been streaming those games for a long time without any issue. So that might be BS. It might end up being true. We'll see, but it just, be careful.
Yeah.
We live in a stupid world in the music industry and not far from it, the movie industry. real rough
Yeah.
when it comes to these sorts of things. So be careful.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm more excited about it the closer we get. I need a review, though. I need someone to talk to that whole thing about the unification of the 3 games to feel like they're all part of the same, that there weren't major tweaks.
I'm imagining you're going to log into the title screen. It'll go, do you want to play Mass Effect 1, 2, or 3? It'll just be one executable.
Yeah, but they keep talking about how 1 is brought in line with how 2 and 3 played. You know what I'm saying? Like less of
probably okay. Yeah, that's what I'm expecting, but that could mean very, very little changes for 3, right?
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that 1, from what I've heard, 1 received the most work. They've done a lot of work on the Mako. They've done a lot of work on the graphics. They've done a lot of work on the gameplay and the UI. To bring it in line. It sounds like 1 got a lot of work. Sounds like 3 is probably going to be a high res.
Yeah, up textures, up resolution stuff. Yeah, and Miranda's
Lots
in
of
it.
up dog.
Yeah, we got Miranda, and we got those the guys that go Shepherd. We got them. What's their names? What's the guy? Not Garrus. Garrus is different.
Which one?
Grunt?
Are you talking about
the big dudes.
Rex.
Rex
or Grunt?
Rex or Grunt. Either one. I'll take them all.
Shepherd.
I love those guys. Whatever that race is, they're great.
What are they called? The Rexes?
Yeah, the Rexes. Yeah.
No, they're
Krogans.
Krogans, that's it. Yeah. I'm just I kind of don't care. I'm just looking for an excuse to play it. And I did try a few years ago to play from the start, and I couldn't abide by 1. So it'll kind of almost be worth it to play a better version of 1 just for the reason to get back to it. But I might wait for a sale. Like, it's still they're doing a full price kind of thing on this deal, right?
Yeah, I kind of had hoped that it was. I mean, if there's enough work on it, I suppose you can justify it. But I was hoping it would be on EA Play as a way for us to grab early. But
probably is if you're part of their elite tier.
Oh, elite.
I'm on the elite tier.
Oh, you are.
I get all the EA Play games. I'm sure it'll make it on there at some point.
If you're on the top tier, you get it day 1. So I think you are covered.
Oh, I don't know if I'm on top tier.
Oh,
yeah,
I don't know.
The
what
Game Pass isn't the top tier. The Game Pass is the
okay.
Throw the dog a bone tier.
It's so confusing. I don't know. Yeah, like it's just so.
It's all funky.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, either way, hurry up, game, be good, and we'll play it. How about that?
Now, I just want to. I have to do this. Beep, 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 beep. This barely ever happens. But Kind Carrot in the chat room, he's like, as a young kid who grew up on Planetside 1, and I'm like, I never see anyone talk about Planetside 1. It's the greatest game of all time. That's all I want to say. Oh my God, there's a spider. God damn it. I got it. I'll be back.
Yeah. All you had to say was Planetside was the greatest game of all time, and then Spider appeared. That's the rule.
I'm kind of with Bo. Planetside 1 is great, but I'm having a hard time following Kind Carrots, who I don't know, maybe is trolling a little bit, connection of, hey, I played Planetside 1 very specific genre of game, and it's Mass Effect, a completely different genre of game, isn't like it. I didn't like it.
That's weird.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's
weird. They're both in space, but why are we drawing this comparison?
Yeah, I played Final Fantasy 2 and then Doom, and they're nothing alike. That's kind of what that's like saying. I'm with you.
But I mean, I love Planetside. I also love Mass Effect.
On the guy.
It's totally fine.
Planetside 1's a great game.
It's a wonderful game, but I just don't think it compares.
They aren't very related. I know.
Yeah, they're nothing like each other. They're in space, I guess. They have like a space connection.
Yeah.
They have a shootery kind of quality to them. One's first person.
Hold on. Here's a question.
Yeah.
Is a game that takes place on another planet but has a sci-fi twist in space, or is it just on that planet? You don't say that a game that takes place on Earth is a space game because you're on Earth. No, it doesn't take place in
space.
No, that's a good point. If you are on the planet all the time and not moving planet to planet, then it's not a space game. But I would make the argument, and this is going to be controversial, that Mass Effect is not much of a space game because space is represented by a few cutscenes and a map that you just move stuff around on and not really in space. Like, you're not really in space. You're just sort of at a hub, and the hub lets you choose a planet. And I'm okay with that. Don't get me wrong.
You go from different planets. What if you're on the moon? Because you do go on the moon in Mass Effect.
Well, it's a celestial body. It's a It's like a planet. It's a planetoid, and you hang out on it. But I guess what I'm saying is, well, I'm actually not making the argument one way or the other.
Or significant gameplay that takes place in the actual vacuum of space.
Yeah. Yes, maybe that's the kicker, because Mass Effect doesn't really. It spends most of its time on the ground, on a ship, or on a station, and it's all good. And I'm not even arguing one way or the other. I'm actually saying, well, let's try to figure out if there's a way to say this, because like science fiction, sure, you could lump it all in together. But if you're saying a space game,
Scott, you're just hardcore. You play Hardbreaker, where you spend your entire gameplay out in the vacuum of space.
What's Heartbreaker?
You're kind of like, what are these wussy games that are like you land on planets?
Did you call it Heartbreaker? Did you call that Heartbreaker? What did you just call that?
Hardbreaker. Is it called
Hardbreaker?
Shipbreaker. Shipbreaker. Not although
sorry,
mine says
it was Shipbreaker.
I actually wrote shit in here. I gotta fix that. What was I doing?
You did Shipbreaker. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're breaking shit. It's still,
Oh, I'm so excited to talk about this update as well. So I'm glad we're already talking.
Yes, but I sort of see what you mean. Like, Star Trek doesn't spend a ton of time in space either, right? Like,
well, the show. Well, see, Star Trek straddles it, right? Because a lot of what Star Trek is beaming down to the surface, and if that's where they spent all their time, then I'd say it's less of a space show. But they do lots of space fighting, and there's the Borg cube, and we got to shoot at it, and
yeah, that's true. I don't know.
Does on a ship or a space station count as
Planetside 1 is not in space?
Well, if the space station is effectively a planet, in that you land on it and then talk to people, hang out, buy stuff, and leave, I think that's still just a stationary object in space that you're hanging out on. You know what I mean? I don't know. This is a hard one.
But like No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous, you're spending a lot of time in space.
Yeah, and those are almost like too much space, like, well.
Man, we just can't ever please.
Man. There's so much space in this game.
Yeah.
What's up with these space games not taking place in space?
I'm still
and
mad.
What's up with these space games spending too much time in space? Can they not get it right?
I mean, I'm definitely not complaining, but I'm still mad at Frontier. Frontier effed me over, man. I bought on Steam. Elite Dangerous, okay? Had it, played it. Great, good, whatever. But then later they had that arena thing come out as like a multiplayer sort of sub game, and it was cheap. And I went, oh, I'll get that too. So I picked that up as well. Then they stopped supporting that. Nobody was in it. Nobody was playing it. So they stopped supporting it, and it's gone. It's still in your library, but you just delete it or it's gone or whatever. Now when I install Elite Dangerous, it doesn't install Elite Dangerous. Even though it says that's what's installed, even though that's what I clicked on to say please install, I don't even have Arena listed. I've delisted it. It installs the Arena client and tells me, and when I go to launch it, it launches the Arena launcher and wants me to try to play a game that they no longer have servers up for. And they don't answer emails. They're the worst people to deal with. I don't know what's going on at Frontier. Gosh dang it. It's annoying.
Too much space.
That being said, I fired it up on the Series X the other day because it's on Game Pass right now, and it plays good on there. So
Elite Dangerous on Game Pass?
Yeah, just launched. Well, I shouldn't say just. I think a couple of weeks.
I didn't see it on there.
Yeah, I just on a whim went, you know what? I'm in the mood. And did the tutorial, and my wife came downstairs and said, we watching the Snyder Cut or what? I said, all right, I'll pause it. And we watched the Snyder Cut.
Oh, there goes your weekend.
Most
in
of it.
one sitting, or did you guys?
No, we
breaks?
broke it up. We had to. That thing is, I don't want. We don't have to go too much into it, but I would just say the problem with that movie is not, or that cut of the movie is not quality. It is length. Like, it just does not need to be that long. It's overwrought and too long, and it doesn't need to be, and it's unfortunate because I just don't think they need it. That being said, I had a good time. It's fine. It's no end game.
It's better than what existed before,
yes.
But that's not saying a lot.
Yeah, here's maybe this is controversial. I think the Wonder Woman parts in it are better than her last movie entirely. So I'll say that. That last movie was a bummer, I thought. Considering how good I thought the first Wonder Woman movie was.
Yeah, it was definitely It went from like movie I love and will watch on a regular basis to it was okay.
Yeah, it was all right. But yeah, whatever. We needed a capper on the Snyder era, and I think that was it, and that's fine. That's good enough. Let's see what they do moving forward.
I really appreciate that all the Zack Snyder diehards that really fought for this movie have now understood that they got what they wanted and just quietly gone back to their normal lives and aren't.
Oh yeah, they're all good now. They're satisfied,
Yeah,
satiated. They don't need to speak up about it anymore.
They've returned to the sea from whence they came. So
they went off there with Jason Momoa and never came back. All right. What else is going on? Blizzard is losing a lot of players. Apparently a lot more than everybody thought, although they're still making profits, and it's a complicated game. When your company is big as Activision Blizzard, and specifically the Blizzard side of things, it's kind of hard to sort of gauge some of this, but their revenues are increasing. However, they have lost millions of players across all of its games. And here's how that broke down. Let's see. Blizzard's monthly active users, this is all according to an earnings call, fell from 29 million in February of last year, so 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, to 27 million this quarter. So that's 2 million. The outlet notes that this part of a steady trend at Blizzard, which has lost 11 million players in the last 3 years, a 29% overall drop in players across all their titles. But that said, they're not exactly struggling, according to this article on PC Gamer. They go on to say the developers' revenue increased 7% year over year, driven heavily by World of Warcraft Shadowlands release, Hearthstone's latest expansion, Forged in the Barrens, and also doing all right with Overwatch. Turns out it earned 10 million new players without releasing any new heroes or modes during that time. But that's weird. Think of that. They lost 2 million overall, but gained 10 on Overwatch. That tells me the other games lost a lot more. If Overwatch made up 10 million of them. You know what I'm saying? If there's no Overwatch, this would have been a loss of 12 million players, I guess, because those wouldn't exist. I don't know.
I think so.
It's weird how they count it. Are they double counting? Because
I don't know.
Someone might play multiple games. Like, how do you...
Yeah, I don't know.
If I log in
I think
once
they're
a month
saying,
for
like...
a day.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, how do they count? Like, how do they count? You never know how they're selling the data for these things, but
right.
I would want to know what the logins and activity are, maybe in BattleNet, because what's a Blizzard player, anyways? Is it someone?
Right. What even is that nowadays?
Is it a Call of Duty guy who logs in once a month to do his Hearthstone for a day? Like,
yeah.
It's the Blizzard launcher. That's why it's not just a Blizzard thing anymore. It's like a lot. There's a lot sort of going on there. So,
yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's weird. It's pretty weird, but that's. I'm glad they've stayed profitable somehow. I worry that's not long for the world if they can't fix the malaise that I'm feeling in the community generally toward Warcraft. Not everybody, but World of Warcraft definitely feeling as long in the tooth as it maybe ever has. And I'm not even sure it's Shadowlands' fault. I think the game's just, I don't know. We talked about this before. We don't have to keep going into it, but I hope that doesn't hurt too bad.
There'll be some new releases, and that'll generate new interest.
Yeah, I mean, Diablo 4,
they're working on it.
Yeah, and Diablo 4 coming along, looking great. We don't have this in this article, but part of that earnings call was they are hiring 2,000 new developers specifically. So these aren't community people. These aren't middle managers or PR or any of that. These are like actual devs.
Some could argue that Blizzard could use a few community people right now.
Oh, they could use a community system of any kind right now, in my opinion. Like, it's really, that stuff fell away, like in a major way. I'll just tell you straight up. When I started this show, or when I started the instance in 2006, from then, even though things were kind of different and weird then, but from then until 2018, there was always somebody who was like your guy, your contacts, multiple people like that, people in PR, people in community. Not that we're all a bunch of needies and we need our whatever, but they were always reaching out and saying, "Hey, we got some codes for you for your next show," or "Hey, we're thinking about getting some reviews out for talking to Christy Golden or whatever." Like they just had a very active outreach to content creators, streamers, and that sort of stuff. And 2018 happened, And I don't know what happened, but I know what happened. There was a huge layoff after that BlizzCon. It just poof went away.
Pulling out. I'm pretty sure they're pulling out of esports as much as possible. Like, I mean,
they fired all those people.
Yeah, they're not trying to, get out of it entirely or rip, but I think the long-term goal is to just get away from it and just have it be like a small segment. Like, there's Call of Duty esports, but it's not like you hear about it a ton of,
Yeah.
You see the odd advertisement in a movie theater, I think, like, it's just in weird places, but like, they're not putting the energy that Blizzard was putting behind community and in esports.
Yeah, they're no longer trying to force it, and maybe that's okay because let the community build it. And
I think they're done with it. I think Blizzard also has a problem they're trying to solve. I think that all game companies are trying to solve is that like there's a lot of vocal detractors, and that they have no control over that, like on Twitch and stuff like that. Popular esports become personalities on Twitch a lot of the time, or high performers, and then those guys sort of dictate sentiment that gets spread around as news, and then opinions get formed about the company based on what some talking head streamer said instead of what's actually going on with the company. I sort of have this feeling because Blizzard's always kind of ahead of these things, whether you want to detract from them or not. They know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I think they're trying to change that up too. I feel like there's a strategy there that's also related to that, because they got a lot of clowns talking shit about them on Twitch basically and YouTube, and they can't any big company can't control it, and that seems like a bad scenario. For all these video game companies.
I disagree though. I think that's selling it short, because I think you're always going to have people that shit talk, but I think one of the things we talk about here and have talked about is that you in a way make your community. Like when we talked about, send Dragon Beef aside, I don't want to get into that, but we talked about how amazing the community is for Final Fantasy XIV. Is that a big part of it because it's a seemingly smaller community? Yeah. But is it also because they actively take steps to try and keep that community better? Yeah. Is it because that they have developed a rapport with the people that play their games of feedback being listened to and effective communication back and forth? Yeah. And I do think there's a lot of people out there. I've watched a few videos recently talking about Blizzard in a way that I think is hyperbolic and not productive, because I think a lot of people go, oh, do these developers even play their game? Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course they do.
It's a useless conversation when they do that.
And they say words like developers as if it's a single body.
Yeah.
There are a ton of developers inside of Blizzard. And I guarantee you that if you just grabbed a handful of them, you would find passionate, caring individuals. But it is a company. It is a company that needs to go through a lot of process to do anything. I do look at that company, and there is a part of me, because I'm real down on World of Warcraft right now, that goes, how do you make the game you currently have? How do you not know how bad it is when people have been saying this for years, that these things are a problem and you're not addressing them yet? I do think there are some serious issues with that game, with how Blizzard does it. They can fight that. There is fighting against that. You communicate. Yeah. You don't go on somebody's stream as the lead developer and give a shitty interview and have that be your talking point for the future of your franchise. You have one of your own in-house community people do that. And it seems ridiculous to me that the WoW community has to sit there and go, well, what do we think of Shadowlands? Where's the future of that going? Oh, I have to go to some streamer and listen to them interview the lead game designer and hope that they're asking the questions that I care about. That's a ridiculous way to get your news and your hope for the future of the game.
Yeah.
No, you will never get rid of all detractors. You won't silence every single voice that's going to naysay. And obviously, in the case of World of Warcraft, there's such a diverse audience. You're not going to be able to appeal to everyone, but you can try something. Mm-hmm. And it certainly doesn't feel like they're trying. Right?
Yeah. I think I agree with that general sentiment. I think that they have been better at this in the past. They always saw Greg Street as a firebrand and maybe even a liability. I think at times he was maybe seen as a liability internally. I don't actually know that, but I have to think, given the kind of Blizzard it was then, they were much more clamped down than they would become in later years about information. Greg would go out there very publicly on Twitter, on the forums, wherever, and he would be kind of blatant and honest about everything. Whatever it was you were going to ask him, he was going to answer it, and he was going to work with you, and he was going to talk to you. And like him or not, like his answers or not, that outreach mattered. Like, it felt like we were in on the deal. We were part of the conversation in a way that they just don't have anybody like that now, like at all. They don't have anybody at any level like that. They don't have anybody at the top that's sort of like that. And they don't have anybody at the community level that's like that. It's just kind of it's like the old Blizzard wall from like 2003. I remember it in those days. And it was very, sort of standoffish and quiet, and we don't want to talk. It's maybe different motivations now for why it's like that. And maybe some of that's, Activision pulling the reins back, and Morhaime leaves, and then suddenly everyone's like, all right, he left. We can stop worrying about esports so much. Or I don't know. Because he was obviously very pro that. But
I just sort of feel like there would be a cultural shift, because Activision is not, prior to Blizzard, Activision is not known for its community outreach or doing these things.
Right.
So I imagine the culture will be brought more in line with the parent company. Like, I think it's, will be brought more in line with Activision, which is more just release the games. You don't need to do all this talking with people.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I just think that's the direction that I just feel like that probably makes sense for the kind of company and size they are. And they don't have a visionary at the helm that I can see.
Yeah. Visionary or not, they just definitely don't have channels of, no disrespect to the handful of people that I know are there in community, in PR, in other places at Blizzard. I know you're there, but you're kind of you're way more on your own now, and you're also very separated now because of just the state of the world and everybody trying to get back to normal. So that's a compounding problem. But a lot of your colleagues were fired. Like, they just all kind of went away because the emphasis went away, and so the emphasis just isn't there anymore. And I'll tell you, the community feels that stuff, and it's not so much that there are plenty of companies that don't do that anyway, but Blizzard did do that. And did it hardcore for a big chunk of time, and then in about 2018 went whoop and pulled it out. And that's hard to take away.
I think this news story is exactly the result of that. You get a company that's losing players because you are going to lose people that cared about it as what it was, but still makes profit.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the suits are going to be happy with that. Like, we read this story, when you read the headline, and there's different versions of this headline, you could say Blizzard makes record profits for this quarter. You could also say Blizzard's losing, what was the percentage of players, or however many players, 2 million players across their games. It's the same story, but we read it differently depending on where your investment is. If you have money invested in Activision Blizzard and you care about profits and the company doing good and all of that, then you're reading about a record quarter. Yeah. If you care about the soul of what was there and the artistry of what you associated with this company in the past, you're reading about players disappearing, and you're thinking about the reasons why.
Yeah. I can't argue with that. I think that's probably true. Bums me out to say it. We're all lifelong Blizzard fans. We love their games. We've always loved their games, but this is a weird time for them, and they maybe can change it. But right now, I just feel like they're all very tiptoey and careful, like too careful. I don't think they feel like they can change much, and I don't know why. It's easy just to say, well, Activision's why. Okay, maybe. I don't know. Probably. But it doesn't feel like J. Allen Brack or anybody else is going to have an all-hands-on meeting tomorrow and go, guys, we got a problem. We got to do this and this and this. It feels like they're not doing that. They feel like they're going, okay, careful. Okay, well, at least we got that going on. Oh, where'd Kaplan go? He left. Okay, just be quiet about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. He was here a long time. It's not a big, there's a lot of that going on. Or at least I feel that.
They've circled the wagons.
Yeah.
Basically, it's
weird.
And who knows, you kind of sort of have this thought like, well, once they have some big newsworthy thing, maybe the wagons will release and they'll be back to their old selves. But I kind of just think about, instead of thinking about that they're Blizzard and have these expectations, like they're a giant company, a lot of gaming companies release games and you don't talk about their community or their thing around it. And they say, EA still makes plenty of money. it may just become more like that. That's all. I mean, it's sad, but it is sad. That's where my expectations are with sort of.
I think you're probably right to have those. You'll have those are going to be safer expectations to have. I hope to be
proven wrong.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I get more outreach from small indies with a 2-man team and a tiny game that'll be $15 on Steam, and those people are they are hungry, man, and they come after you and they want you to. Here's a code. If you stream anything or talk about it, let us know. We'd love to hear it. Oh, we're super stoked. Hey, by the way, here's a hat. Like, I'm not just saying this should be perks for podcasters and streamers and people. I'm saying the entire player body can feel it when you're retracting, whether it seems like it's just the influencer types or if it's in general, they can feel that retraction. And that is what I think everybody is feeling right now, or most people are feeling it. There's some people that are having the time of their life and WoW's never been better and all the reasons. They're fine. And that's great. And they don't even think of these things. But, you know, this number change, this player number change cannot be looked at as a positive, especially when everybody else and their dogs' numbers went up during the pandemic for concurrent players online, people playing their game, logins, that stuff went up for everybody except Blizzard. That seems weird.
But that's also the other thing. It's it's the most competitive marketplace. The style of company Blizzard has faced with its products. There's a long time Hearthstone was the only one of its kind, a high-end graphical interface playing card game.
Right.
Now there are hundreds, well, maybe dozens, but you got Gwent, you got Magic the Gathering has a really great offering as a competitor. Like, they're not unique anymore. So there's way more competition. Shooters are not known for their longevity necessarily, so it's no surprise that Overwatch would lose players because there's a new hot FPS competitive every year, and multiple times a year.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, WoW, I mean, you know, you're playing Elder Scrolls, you're playing Final Fantasy XIV, no shade, no comment, just there's a lot of MMO offerings that have stood the test of time that are alternatives that are more graphically up to date or just fresh experiences. It doesn't even have to be that the WoW's doing anything bad. It's just
that's why
I'm enjoying no unique product except the RTS line would be because nobody's done. There's no premier RTSs.
No, that's a really good point. Yeah,
not making one. So I don't know.
Totally agree with that. The MMO thing for me, you totally nailed it. I'm playing ASO and loving it because I'm doing something different than I was doing. Like, it's just totally different. It's a different perspective. It's a different control scheme. It's a one giant server. It's not a million realms. It's a different story approach. It's just a completely different kind of game. And as a result, everything feels new. So I don't feel like I'm just treading the same water. And in WoW, I feel like I'm treading the same water for 15 years. And it's okay. I get it. It's 15 years. No one else has anything like this except EverQuest and others. And they never reached even close to the numbers Blizzard had. So, you know, what I tell my angry WoW friends is it's okay. It's all right. There's a hell of a long run, and it's still there if you want it, and it will probably be there in perpetuity forever. Like, you're never going to not be able to play World of Warcraft if you want to. But if you're feeling this feeling of like, I'm not meant to not like the thing that I used to have so much raw passion for, I think it's okay to admit to yourself that sometimes this stuff wanes. And in gaming, it's no different than television genres or movies. You know, sometimes there's too much fantasy and we switch to sci-fi. Sometimes that's too much, we switch back. Sometimes we love zombies. Sometimes we're sick of zombies. Like, welcome to human, you know, we get bored. So
look at World War II.
Right.
In video games, not the actual one. The video game World War II. It was every first-person shooter was a World War II shooter for the longest time. Yeah. And then it wasn't, and now it is again. Yeah. It's like, hey, guys, it's going to be in World War II, and everybody goes, and now. It's like, well, it used to be. I remember a time where we were like, it's another World War II game, you guys.
Oh, all the time we were doing that. Like, until modern, that's why Modern Warfare was such... for two reasons. It was a giant revelation because, one, it was like, oh, they brought it modern, but also it's got progression in it. Like, this doesn't exist before in shooters. We didn't do this. There was no progression. Suddenly there's this like RPG kind of quality to everything, and now every shooter's like that. Like, these cycles come, they peak, and they drive away. You know, I don't know when the Fortnite money stops pumping, but it hasn't happened yet. But I'm not interested in any more battle royales. Don't even tell me about them. I don't want to know. I want to know something new and innovative. what that is me as a normal person saying I'm sick of a thing and I want to try something new. It's okay to feel like World of Warcraft had its day with you and your best days might be behind you, and it's okay to feel that way. I don't want, because I understand this feeling of like, not betrayal, but like it's bigger than it is. Like, oh, but World of Warcraft, you were the it. You were always it, but maybe you're not it. Maybe you're not quite it, and you're having these little internal struggles or whatever. At least I am, and I think it's okay to have that. It's a healthy, normal human thing to have.
Games take a long time to make on that scale, so if they are working on something, we might just have to wait for it. At some point, we can expect something. 10, 20 years. It'll take time.
Yeah, I might be dead, but it's fine. I've lived a nice long life.
I might not live to see it.
Yeah, I may not live to see it.
It'll happen.
None of us might. Like that. It might be 30 years. Who knows? Like,
before we move on, if we do ever have any vocal dragon beef on the show, which we probably will, I don't know about today so much, but I have this lined up, Brian. Brian. I work with too many Brians. Hey, John, I have this lined up for us if we ever need it for dragon beef. Here you go.
Dragon beef.
Now, you'll be happy to know my favorite part of making this clip was I went to the Merriam-Webster dictionary and I said, I need to find somebody saying dragon, find somebody else saying beef, and then add a dragon sound. And so I'll play the top part again.
Dragon beef.
So that's just a great guy at the end just going, beef, beef.
Beef.
Yeah, beef.
Yeah.
Beef.
So if you
there's
need
good
it,
punctuation with
got
those two words. Yeah, it's
you got
beautiful.
it. All right. Enough of that. Let's move on to, I'm so excited about this. I put this in the news because I didn't even know this was happening. I heard about it this week, which is great because it's tomorrow. But the original Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance game that was on PS2, GameCube, I think that may have been it. Maybe original Xbox. This is an old game.
I love
PS2.
Oh, it was so good. It was like, controller, but it was basically the first time a Diablo kind of game was playable in this way, and it had amazing, in all the kind of looty ways that was all there and stuff. But it was such a perfect. It's a perfect game. It's one of my favorite games ever. And then it just kind of went away. Baldur's Gate 2, Dark Alliance 2 was a thing, but it wasn't as well received. And it just kind of all.
EverQuest one.
Oh yeah, what was that called?
Champions. Was it Champions of Norath?
Champions of Norath. That's it. Same developer, I think, even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Dark Alliance was insane. It was so good. Well, that same exact game being re-released tomorrow on new consoles, like all up-resed, up chunked, up whatever, coming out on Series X and PS5. Not PC, weirdly. I don't know what the problem is there, but not on PC, which is a bummer. But I think I'm going to grab it because I have real fond feelings. I'm also a little nervous, though, because what if it doesn't hold up the way I think it does? Because I have real fond memories of that game.
I mean, did you watch the trailer? It kind of looks, it doesn't look the best still, even up there.
No, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look bad. The question is, like, how much better...
they still made games like this.
Yes. I guess that's and I guess they kind of do. Like, there's a million action RPGs that are sort of ish like this, but there was something about it.
What my favorite one of these was? Do you remember when they then made an X-Men version of it, and then they made a Marvel version of it?
Yeah,
and it was amazing.
What was that first game? It's not Dark Alliance. That's this. It was like that though. Marvel.
Yeah.
Avengers Alliance or something like that. Whatever the hell it was called.
Yeah. And then they did bring it back. There is a Switch version, but I didn't have a Switch when it came out, so I don't care retroactively.
Right.
And I want them to bring that game back. Because the problem is the like Marvel Hero Diablo style game is awesome. And all those avenues are closed. They aren't making them anymore. That like Marvel Heroes, whatever year they decided to wrap it up, 2018 or 2017 or whatever it was on when it ended. That game shut down. Like, I miss those. That is the perfect type of game for superheroes.
I agree.
We need more of them.
I agree. I don't know why they can't. Why is just lightning in a bottle kind of thing? Like, I don't know why it's not. Oh, dude. John, I'm sorry. I have to interrupt this program for some breaking news. There is a really shitty dragon in this trailer. So I'm going to share this with you. Yeah. Let's
see if we can agree on the badness of a dragon.
Here we go.
Dragon beef.
All right, some dragon beef. I'm going to drag this over into our chat so you can see it. I'll put it up on the screen chat room. Here it is. That's a bad dragon.
Okay, that is a garbage dragon.
It's a terrible dragon.
Although
We agree
I'm
then.
surprised you don't like it because it certainly fits your generic-ass class of dragon.
You know what? I'm surprised you don't like it because it has 4 legs. I thought for sure you'd be into that, but nope.
Nope. We both agree. We hostily agree with one another.
No beef here on that particular dragon. But some of the graphic upgrades look nice. Some of it looks like shit, kind of. I can't quite tell how I would feel, but I can tell you when I first played that game that it was my favorite frickin' console game for months. I loved it. Oh, look at Eye of the Beholder. All this D&D stuff, Bo. Look at all that in there. All right.
It looks good. Sorry, I was muted. It looks good, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the price is. The price, like $5?
It better be cheap.
Everything.
It better, yeah, everything.
If they're gonna drop that for like $59.99, I mean, no way.
Yeah, if it's not cheap, then what are we even doing? All right. Okay, we have a review from Steam here, a couple of them actually, that we need to Dear Martha.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this will be good. These are going to be fantastic, especially given the second one because I've actually played that game. So anyway, let's turn it over to Dear Martha and see how these go.
My dearest Martha, today I submit to you my review of Weedcraft Inc.
I almost bought this today because it's on sale. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it looked interesting.
Yeah.
Martha, plant training is so annoying. Manual long clicks for each freaking plant. Thousands of times, frowny face. And no, the employees are not very useful because they are inefficient and very expensive. There are too many strains. The game is not designed to help you on this. You have to manually grind all the time when planting a different strain or choosing a strain to sell. Oh, and you have to keep talking and talking and talking and talking with everyone to keep the good relationships, which is good only when you want to befriend a cop to ask him a friendly favor to turn a blind eye to your activities or ask for a string from a competitor. Blackmailing is just useless waste of time because if you're doing it, those people will leave after 2 months, regardless of your relationship with them. So what's the point of gathering so much dirt about them if you're not going to take advantage of this? Monthly costs are too high, and you must grind your way to have a positive balance. Yours in this life and the next, Cello Neb 1.
I'm sorry, Cello Neb? Cello Neb.
That's the best guess on how to pronounce it.
Okay, pretty good. All
I really
right.
should have watched the trailer before you played it.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, next up we have Farm Manager 2021.
My dearest Martha, I now present to you a review for Farm Manager 2021. Martha, generic American garbage. The twee music, the shiny-faced, all-American employees, the massive mansion farmhouse, and all rectangular fields. Ugh, where's the soul? Yours in this life and the next, Giblet.
Where's the soul?
I mean, I'll agree with Giblet. That game's not that remarkable. It's okay. I played it. It's all right. It's pretty good. It's not great, though. That was amazing. Giblet, if you're out there listening, it's short and sweet. That's the way we like him, buddy. All right. Enough of that. Now, what? This? Yeah, this. Games we played. Shipbreaker got their big update today. I've been waiting for it forever. So thank you, devs at Shipbreaker, for releasing a patch on Thursday. So I didn't have to wait all the way till the weekend. I've been waiting for a long time for this update. This update basically wiped all progress, which is why I put my playtime in the game on hold. Otherwise, I loved coming to this every day, at least once a day. I was tearing a ship apart. And the they updated it. In there now is some story, some additional character stuff. Some I don't know where that's all going yet because I'm still early. But was introduced to a bunch of characters that are all sort of on the radio and have stuff to say. New ships are in there. New progression system is now implemented. So that all got kind of overhauled and changed. I think I like the changes actually quite a bit. It used to be this big unending like a checklist, almost like a shopping list of stuff you wanted to try to do for that disassembly. And when you would accomplish one, you'd get a thumbs up and whatever points were associated with it. And if you didn't, you just lost track of it. Well, now this does it more like there are three levels of ship destruction. And if you can get to the third, that's enough to make all your quotas and kind of be done, even though there's still big chunks left or something. Or you can go all the way and get all the money spent by saving everything if you want to. So there's a little bit of flexibility on the kind of end game of each ship that you're tearing apart. And I really liked that. Anyway, not far enough in to really say much else. I just got tethers unlocked and some other stuff that I'm used to in the previous build. But it feels good to be back. Freaking Shipbreaker, baby. I love that game.
Does the new story mode confirm if it's in the Homeworld universe?
No. Well, if it does, I can't tell yet. But not yet. Nothing they've said or done has indicated any of that. And the intro with the little girl reciting the poem about her dad getting the job up on the Shipbreaker thing, that's all in there still, so they haven't changed some of that initial stuff. It seemed also just smoother, a little cleaner. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Just a good polish run on things. Just feels like stuff just looks maybe a little nicer than it did when I last played it. I don't know. It could just be me being excited.
Has it come a long way from since when you first started to?
Oh, for sure. Now? Yeah, from my initial buy of the thing till now, it's definitely had some huge improvements. I think they're really close now to being done, and it sounds like no more wipes because the story stuff is going to come in waves, and then when the final story wave's done, that's roughly when they're going to hit 1.0 and just release the damn thing. But I still think it's a good buy for an early access game, and I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. It just chills me out. Just one of the most zen games ever. Oh, I have you can pick a voice now, so your character has a voice, even though you don't really say much. But when you get burned, you yell a lot more and stuff like that. So it reminded me, John.
So it's like Final Fantasy.
Yes, it reminded me of that. So when I'm doing it, it's like pick your voices, and there's female, male, and all this. And I hit the first male when he goes like freaking out because he's burning or whatever. So it's all like the death and burn and yell noises that you would make. It's great. And
they should hook up with Warner Brothers and get some Looney Tunes, Yosemite Sam. My biscuits are burning in there. That'd be great.
Hell yeah.
Marketing.
It's marketing 101. It's very good. Alora for real says next patch has dragons. That'd be cool too, but I don't think it's going to happen. Anyway, Shipbreaker, still rad.
This game has an important message. You guys hear that there's an actual rocket going to land somewhere randomly on the Earth?
No. From where? From who?
I think China launched a rocket, to send materials up to build their space station. So there's a rocket, and then it's, adrift, and it's going at like 20,000 miles per hour or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
And it's not expected to burn up in the atmosphere. So it's expected to land somewhere randomly on the planet. It really raised my anxiety when I saw that article. I mean, there's a lot of square footage. They're hoping it'll land in the water, but really it could land in theory anywhere. And that's just a great thing to know, that you might randomly get crushed by a stupid Chinese rocket at some point somewhere else in the so it's important to break up these ships. That's why this game makes me think of that.
Yeah, you got to get rid of it. Yeah, too much
float
space
back down into the planet.
Exactly.
Oh my god,
that's hilarious. I did fire an empty.
China.
I fired a empty water bottle at the Earth while I was tearing a ship apart today. I don't know if it ever arrived there, but I just turned.
Well, it might burn up. Most stuff burns up.
That's true. That's true.
That's why it's not as bad, but this isn't. So
no.
I don't know. I just try not to think about it, honestly.
It is weird, right? Like
the odds of it hitting you was not good. You're right. But it's gonna hit somewhere.
Yeah, it'll hit somewhere.
Hopefully the water. There's mostly water that covers there, so hopefully it lands in the ocean, I guess.
It's a safe bet.
I wonder what you could do the odds on it. I wonder what they are. Like the odds, you could figure that math out and figure out
one in a trillion or something. Or 1 in 10
that'd be crazy.
Trillion.
Here's a story for you. You go to a bookie to make a bet on where it's gonna land. and you win.
Yeah.
But it turns out it lands on the bookie. That's where you bet, and you can't collect
Tell
any
him
money.
with a record of
You're
the
SOL.
transaction. Yeah. He's got the paperwork. You're screwed. You're not going to win. That's funny.
Well, if Trendset is correct, he says, or he or she says, New York is the farthest north it will be. So I'm good. You guys are still screwed.
Oh, okay. Great. Well, we got a lot of room here, down here. We'll probably be okay.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are good that it's not going to happen, but I just don't like the whole idea, the whole premise that we're shooting stuff up into the atmosphere
And just letting it
and
land.
that could randomly rain down on people seems very irresponsible.
It feels like we've gone to great lengths. Generally, different space agencies in different countries have gone to great lengths to say, all right, the coming back to Earth, the reentry process is this. It's going to be this part of the ocean. We're going to have these ships ready to go pick up the junk or the survivor or whatever it is. Well, I don't know why this one's such a random thing. It's like, we don't know. It'll be here. That's dumb. China, get it together.
Yes, seriously, you're 2 for 2 now.
Yeah, what are you guys doing?
Hello, China.
All right, great. Let's move on to Apex Legends Legacy. Just real quick.
Yeah, you got to talk about this because a second ago you just said, I don't want to play another Battle Royale. If I see another Battle Royale, I'm going to throw up.
That's right.
Scott Johnson
Good
quote.
news, because that's the whole point of this update. It introduces a brand new permanent mode to the game. This is, I would argue, their attempt to compete with CSGO and Valorant at the whole 3v3 or whatever round based, buy guns at the top of the round, try to win best of 5 or whatever style game. You're dead, that kind of game. And that's what this is. It's 3v3 and it's a new, like I said, new permanent mode. All the characters work in it. You still get your ults and you get all the cool stuff that you have. But there are these smaller arenas and other stuff came with this update. Like there's a new character who's actually a descendant from one of the bosses you fought in Titanfall 2. So there's a little bit of cool connection there with the Titanfall universe. Anyway, she's basically, who is it? Pharah, who shoots all the rockets as her ultimate in Overwatch. I think that's Pharah.
Yeah.
She's kind of like that. One of her ultimates or one of her big deals is she flies up in the air and then shoots a bunch of, bumblebee rockets that fly all over the place and kill people. But anyway, that's not the important part. The 3v3 arena stuff is really fun. I really like it. And I used to love, way back in the day, I played the Counter-Strike mod just unendingly back in the late 90s, early 2000s, just all the time. I loved it. So I already like that kind of play. I like the kind of slow down, be careful. You got one life and that's it. Don't F it up. They add to this the abilities that you have in the Battle Royale, which is, you've got shield you can buy ahead of the game, better grenades. You can upgrade your gun between rounds. If you survive that round, you can upgrade the gun you have. So they have some of the elements of the BR pulled back into this arena. But for the most part, you're kind of playing Valorant in a way. And I had a lot of fun in there. I was playing with randos even, and we ended up we won 2, I lost 1, but they were really fun, super intense, and not a battle royale. Like, I'm just kind of sick of that. I'm sick of the 100 come in, one of you comes out scenario, because I'm never going to compete well in there. But here I can. I feel like I have a chance. I feel like I'm working toward a goal with a small team. One shot and you're dead. It's pretty cool. So I think we may end up playing some of that. It's on Steam now. So, that's the other thing. I installed it on Steam for the first time, launched it, and it just knew who I was. And I didn't have to even launch Origin or whatever the new PC EA thing is. It just ran and had all my progress and my levels and everything.
Nice.
It was great. I didn't have to do anything. It was awesome. I think they've been really liberal with that game to say, this is like a huge winner for us. We don't want to F anything up around the edges, so just let it be playable. Just go play it. And,
don't let Origin touch it. It'll mess it up.
Yeah. It's fun, though. I had a really good time in there and would do that again, especially with friends. I think a 3-man, like the 3 of us in there would be a hoot. It's a lot of fun. I liked it. So that, to answer your question, John, I did not play a Battle Royale. I played a 3v3 arena game.
Nice. That does sound nice. That sounds fun.
Yeah. And once again, their intro videos they make for their seasons and things, top-notch shit. It's so good. They should make a movie. I would go see their movie. Maybe not in theaters, but I'd watch it because
We
they're
should
great.
get some Netflix money at least to make a.
I agree, dude. They now have Dota 2 and League of Legends animes. They have the two main MOBAs. They have animes of both. What the frick? What world do I live in? That's insane.
Did the Diablo one get canceled? There was a lot of talk that there was a Diablo Netflix happening too, but
I just don't think we've heard anything, but I think it's still going. I think there's still progress. They'll probably time it around the time that game hits or something.
that would make a lot of sense.
Chat room's
that was very
asking about
exciting, too, so.
Scavengers. I haven't heard of Scavengers. Is that a new shootery thing?
I heard of it, and I honestly,
Scavengers.
because it's a generic. It's not a bad name, but it's a generic name, and I mixed it up with Outriders and was like, "Oh, I know what that game is." So I did not know what that game is.
I'm pulling it up just to get a quick look at it.
The website looks kind of neat.
Bo, that's funny. You said
Scavengers,
because I'm playing an indie game for a Boop Show called Skeletal Avengers, or Skeletal Avenger.
Scavengers.
And when I first saw it, I went Skeletal Avenger because you were in my head. So Skeletal.
nice.
Oh, this looks kind of fun. Little 3 on what's this, free to play? Oh, it's got really mixed reviews though. I don't know. I like
it's sort of, it could be the next Fortnite, or it could be the next Cliff Bleszinski joint, whatever that game was called.
Oh yeah, what was that called? That had
Shooter game, survival game, fighting game, action adventure game. So many genres.
made by that the name and development Midwinter Entertainment.
Manhandlers or something like that. Shooting jumpers.
Oh, the Cliffy B game. What was that called?
Yeah.
Shit jumpers. Poop nibblers. What was it? Not Gears of War.
I don't remember. It's been so a while that we've. Hang on, I have to look it up now.
Frick.
It was a generic name. Lawbreakers.
Yeah,
Lawbreakers.
That's it.
Yeah. Guys, lawbreakers. We break the law. Like, it's a little bit more time in the oven on that name and concept.
Yeah, it had potential, but
I mean, it rose by any other name, right? Like, in another universe, Warcraft is the dumbest name for a video game ever, but it isn't, because it was a good game.
Well, yeah.
If it was a bad game, it'd be so, but Lawbreakers still, especially because they capitalized the B, but no space between Lawbreakers.
Oh, you're not a fan of that? You don't like that?
Yeah, that's what killed it.
It's a bad title. I'm with you. As a voice out in the ether, just giving his dumb opinions about games.
That's what killed that game. This didn't have a space in the name.
It was hard for me to press the button to start the launcher, because I'm just like, yeah, this game's all right, but it's called Lawbreakers.
Yeah, give me a space. And then you would
when I say it, I feel like I'm 14, being I'm playing this sweet game. It's about breaking the law called Lawbreakers. It's not sweet. No one thinks that's cool.
Yeah, someone thinks that's cool, not us. What else? ESO. I won't get into too much. I'm just really enjoying it. There's a quest line, storyline that happened in Northern Elsewhere, I think, that was just amazing. I've been sending clips to these guys, but I loved the whole string of stories. We basically established a new cat lady queen, a Khajiit queen, the rightful heir to this throne. And man, those people love me now. Oh boy. The Khajiit, they think I'm
the Jellicle ball, and they went up to the Jellicle moon.
What's Jellicle?
I don't know if we have time to get into what Jellicle is. It's a nonsense word from the movie and Broadway show Cats.
Yeah. I've never
and
seen
Scott
that
knows
movie,
what that is?
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
I've heard of it. I've heard of it before.
Okay.
But I haven't seen that movie.
Cats, I get it. Khajiit, Cats the movie. It's related.
The Khajiit.
Well, the clip he showed had a bunch of cats talking about the moon, and I was like, wow, this is the most Jellicle thing since all those Jellicle cats
They're
came
super
together to
into
sing
the
about their
moon. So
Jellicle moon.
it's all about the sun and the moon and balance and all that. This is their culture thing. So the Khajiit are really, I used to think, oh, cat people, never going to play one of those. But the game has really opened that up. I really like that race. I really like their history. It's very cool. And some of these temples I was in, these underground temples, are just so ornate and rad. They just made, I don't know, I have new respect for the Khajiit. They're cool. They're not just cat people, after all.
I'm glad they're doing stuff with them, because I have, and it's weird because I guess it's racist, even if it's about a fake race that doesn't exist. But all they ever do in Elder Scrolls games, they're like, we need a skooma addict. What should we do? Let's put a Khajiit in there. Like, it's always a Khajiit. Like, if somebody's selling you skooma or somebody's ODing on skooma, is always a Khajiit.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
I feel like in ESO, the not bummer race, but the race that always seems to be the one that's like strung out on skooma. Seems like it's the lizard people whose names I can't think of suddenly, but
maybe it's the lizards that's doing.
Maybe they have a thing for that. I don't know. But the
maybe
lizards
it
are
only
always
works
just
on
like
lizards and cats.
But they've got their own cool shit going on too. The game's really good at like that kind of lore building stuff that I don't think the previous Elder Scrolls games had some of that, but a lot of it you had to read in those books you'd find. This tells a lot of story and it's very good. And they did some stuff with the Cadwell character played by John Cleese. I did not see coming. I couldn't believe they pulled like a story twist off that I didn't see coming. Yeah, he was great. He's good in it. It's very good. There's a whole bunch of really great actors that, for whatever reason, I guess they paid them, do voice work in this thing, and they're all excellent. I think my favorite may have been Bill Nighy's take on the Human King. I forgot his name, but the guy, you guys all know him. He's famous British actor. He's in all sorts of shit.
Yeah, he's the Slarty Bart Fast in in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
He plays Slarty Bart Fast.
He's that gnarly head vampire in the first Underworld movie, which was pretty good.
I think he's in one of the Shaun of the Dead or one of those movies.
Stepdad. Yeah.
Yes.
He's in. I think he's in all of those actually.
He might be in all those.
First two, because he's also the police captain.
Right, he's the police captain in Hot Fuzz. Yes, that guy. He's great in it, and he just was such a great voice. Peter Stormare's in it, the guy that put Steve Buscemi in the Chipper at the end of Fargo. He's in it. It's just great. I love all the voice work. It's just really top notch stuff, and it's drugged me in big time. I'm really into it. All right, John. Now on to no beef, but on to Final Fantasy XIV. What's going on there?
Yeah, I'll just do a quick check-in and say I beat the Heavensward expansion, or at least the story portion of it. I've now moved on to the Stormblood expansion, as we teased in either the pre-show or this show. I don't remember. I think that's definitely falling in line with Scott's jam, because it is a lot of desert. It's a lot of rusted ruins and mechs in the desert, and dealing with the Imperials and
that's cool.
Dusty old temples and stuff like that. So, but it's cool. I mean, that game continues to surprise me, and I think that's the big thing that keeps being so refreshing about it is Stormblood sets up as this very clear, like, hey, we're gonna go to this area that's under military control. We're gonna try and free them. Our hand kind of got forced on it, but we're gonna do it.
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, that's not the most exciting thing I've ever heard, but all right, let's go do it. And like within the first 15 quests there, you're dealing with it and it does not go the way you expect it. And then the story pivots. And I was like, wow, this game's really doing a good job of surprising me, keeping me on my toes. And I would say that the one before not Stormblood, Heavensward was kind of the same way, where it was, hey, you're going here to do this thing, and you did it over the course of the main story, and then it just kept taking these weird turns that were unexpected. And I've really enjoyed the story and the characters, and it's a game where when characters die, which does happen from time to time, I genuinely am bummed out that those characters aren't going to be around, and I feel that impact. So I'm having a great time with it, and I'm gonna just keep plugging away at it. I made my character a cat lady, so I guess I'm with you, Scott. Feeling a little Jellicle these days.
Sure.
And I had a file of Fantasia or Fantasia or whatever it's called, and I was like, yeah, let's change my character. Now my character's a cat. So
perfect. Nice.
Are there drugs? Are there skooma? Is there a skooma equivalent in?
Yeah. What do you guys get?
I don't know.
Final Fantasy? Are we gonna have scuba wars next?
The chat comes alive when I talk about Final Fantasy with correcting me, asking me things that I've done that I probably haven't done, and giving me details. So chat, is there drugs in Final Fantasy 14?
Or is Final Fantasy 14 the drug?
That might be the drug. Look, I've seen some of the stuff in that game.
Yeah.
It might be the drug.
It might be the
There's
drug.
some weird. I fought a buff book.
Oh yeah.
That was one of my favorite things because you're going through this dungeon and it's all it's a library, so you're fighting a bunch of books and related things like, oh, here's a tome that contains evil, so now the book is evil and you got to fight it. And they were like, well, now we want a boss book, and it was just the most like middle schooler drawing in his notebook. Like he's like, yeah, I'm gonna draw a bunch of book enemies. Then like, okay, well, we need a boss one. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna put big muscles on this book, and it was is a buff tome. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Final Fantasy without that. And Final Fantasy VII Remake had a kata. You have to fight like a house.
Oh, really?
At one point, you battle a house. Like it's just literally a house, and like the windows open and shit comes out. Like there's in the house, it doesn't even have legs or anything. It just bounces around. You're whacking a house.
So
it's funny, but it's like it's definitely immersion breaking. If you like, if you don't want immersion breaking, you're gonna. Final Fantasy's not for you.
Well, that's what I think maybe is going on right now. Like all this dragon beef, if we chisel down through it, it depends on, my mood could switch. Next year I'd be in a totally different mood. But right now I like the grounded, this is a fantasy world and we're going to live in that world and we're not going to get goofy in that world too much. Like even WoW goofy. Like it's just going to be very fantasy, very dark fantasy, very, very much what you think of when you think of what was the books, not the Books of Time. What was that called?
Wheel of Time,
or even Game of Thrones, or anything that's just like this. Like here's a world building world, and we are going to build in it, and it's going to be that world. There will be no buff books. There'll be no books with muscles in this game. And I think
are there characters who reflect real life, like Harrison Jones and stuff like that?
None of that.
Nods like that.
None of that. Well, if there is, I don't recognize the references. It's possible, I suppose. And it's not like the game doesn't have its, trappings, like you can dance but it's all stuff that is plausible in the world itself. The character of Cadwell, played by John Cleese, is meant to be funny, and there are moments that are
pot on his head.
He has a pot on his head, which is not the funny part, but he'll say things sometimes and I'll laugh at them, but he's doing it in the context of the world. It's never fourth wall breaking or whatever. And a lot of people like me, when it comes to like shooters, I would rather play a shooter that doesn't take itself too seriously. For some reason, I'm in the mood for an MMO that does take itself too seriously in a way. And I think that's why it's working for me, because they're not busting too far out of those walls. Whereas if you're looking for something just a little more fanciful and a little more like willing to say, what if his mount was the car from Final Fantasy 15? That's cool. And it is. It's in there. It's in that game. So why not? Why not? Why not a bunch of automata looking lady skins?
But I think the thing that I really appreciate is that it does a good job of juggling both. Like, yes, you can be like we saw in that video. If you want to be the guy wearing a purple suit and a big fat yellow chocobo head on your head, that you can be that man. That can be you. Yeah. But the story is like surprisingly heavy and deep. Like going into this country and them going, all right, well, like the reason you're fighting is because a group of rebels decided to stage a battle and pretend like, oh, we're going to attack this place and sacrifice their own army in a battle to kind of force the rest of the nations to go, well, now we have to go to war. And you go over there. And so there's this political drama behind the scenes. And they're like, well, we're going to have to go to war. We need to get the resistance on our side. And you go and talk to them and they're like, guys, you've been ignoring us for so long, letting us just be ruled by these people. Like, we're beaten down. And every time somebody's come in and said, hey, we want to free you, we want to do right by you, we send our children to go fight in a war and they don't come home.
Jeez.
And you're asking for more children. We don't have any. We're not going to fight in this war for you. Right, and it's like, it's surprisingly heavy topics where like you're getting into the nature of what it's like to, you have an empire that's ruling. What's it like for people who kind of get indoctrinated to that philosophy and join with them? What's it like to ask somebody, hey, you want to lend us troops to help fight them? And they're like, guys, the people you're fighting are our own people conscripted. We're not killing the empire. We're killing ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, these are the conversations they're having. And you're like, this is deep. And then, yes, the car from Final Fantasy 15 goes driving by with a chocobo man inside of it going. So you do get both sides of it.
Yeah.
But
I'm not
there's
saying
something
this
about,
is good. That's
there's
great.
something about how it's presented where it's like, you know when the drama is going to be there, and you know when the fanciful, like, crazy stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. They've clearly hit the right note. They've done it's great. I think it's just a matter of what mood I'm in, because they're probably coming a time where I'll be in the mood to go back and do that, and I'll be ready because I'm already level 70 and just need a story boost, and I'm there. So we shall see. We both said we wouldn't talk much about our MMOs of choice at the moment, but neither of us were able to not, because it's just we're having a lot of fun in these games, and
it's taken up most of my playtime. Honestly, I'm putting courtesy time in other games so I can talk about something.
Well, tell me about Mega Man X Legacy Collection, because those are hard games. And why did you play those games? Because let
me tell you about a Super Nintendo game. While we're talking about what's new and relevant, I played 2 Super Nintendo games re-released on modern consoles. I'm a big fan of the Mega Man X series, so I've been playing through all those games. I beat X1 and X2. I'm working on X3. I don't really have a lot to say except that collection's great. I think the Mega Man X games is a fantastic franchise, and it was on sale, so I picked it up. And I like it.
These were SNES games. This is like a collection of those. I never played these, so I don't really know what the lineage is on the Mega Man stuff.
It was 10 when they introduced 0, right?
Is that right?
No. So, well, it's called Mega Man X. It's not Mega Man 10, although there is an... anyway, we won't get into that. But yeah, it is Mega Man X. It's a different franchise. Mega Man X is where Zero shows up. Zero is the best character in Mega Man. And yeah, so there's Legacy Collection 1 and there's Legacy Collection 2. Legacy Collection 1 has the first 3 games from the Super Nintendo and the first game from the PlayStation on it. And then the second Legacy Collection has the last 2 from the PlayStation, and then I believe 2 more games from the PlayStation 2 era on it.
Wow.
And so it's a decent chunk of games you get with it. They seem to be pretty solid ports. They've got a bunch of... I love the artwork to the Mega Man series. Like, whoever did the art there, it's just... There's a real whimsy to it that I enjoy. And so it has the museum mode where you can go through and look at all the art behind it and all that stuff. And yeah, just having a really good time playing some old games.
Does it include this dialogue? Hold on.
You must recover all the energy immediately, Mega Man.
But where is Dr. Wily?
That's a good question. We may be able to locate another energy emission from the radar room.
Do we get any of that?
From the radar room?
Unfortunately not. That's from, I believe, Mega Man
2.
9
or 8.
I
thought it was 2. Okay.
There is a collection from that. That's not from the X game. But don't you worry, Scott. If you want bad voice acting... Those PlayStation era Mega Man games and the PS2 ones definitely still fulfill it. If you want a character that every time he swings his sword goes, whoa, you can play Mega Man X4 and you will hear it every single time.
Wow. Okay.
At no point did someone go, maybe people are going to get sick of hearing this sound effect when he swings his sword.
Is it just me? But that dialogue now, Scott, we've been listening to that for so long. It doesn't sound like bad voice acting to me anymore.
It just sounds like a part of the show. Like when
it
he
sounds
says,
like it's just excellent. I'm like, why can't there be more voice acting like this? It's beautiful.
I agree. I'm into the worse the better. I'm super happy when this stuff's bad.
Can you get me the coconut from the tree?
It's a me.
Go to Kakakuri Village and get me a radar room.
Yeah. But this thing where it's just no take Terry, like it's one take and you're out. And
well, yeah, it's the stutter in the middle. Like it's like you don't want to do another take where you don't mispronounce the name.
I mean, they brought their cranky grandpa in, and he didn't want to do more than one take. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, why wouldn't you just re-record that one line? All the kids did fine, or whoever the other voices are. Just have him reread that, and they didn't because he was probably cranky and pissed or something. It's like, I'm not reading it again. I don't know. To me, it's the biggest mystery.
I don't think I need to reread your scripts, Mega Man.
And by the way, that was 8. So just for the record, Mega Man 8.
We're voice actors who don't give a shit about video games, who aren't happy they're working on, because you hear a lot of voice actors like, oh, I love the character and I'm happy to play the video game. Where people are like, I just did this stupid video game gig, whatever. Let me say my lines and get the F out of here. Make the kids happy. Like we need more people like that.
I agree.
Because they sell the lines in a different way. You know?
I agree. I agree. Also, you played Dragon Quest Builders 2, which showed up on Game Pass. This made me very happy because I really like Dragon Quest Builders 2. Like a lot. I don't know how much I've talked about it on here, but played a hell of a lot of that on Steam when it first came out. And I may play it again on my console just because that's a good sit on my butt game. But anyway, what do you think of Dragon Quest Builders 2?
It's great. It's charming. It's got a lot of whimsy from the very moment of like, you go through the whole little intro bit and then it goes to a black screen and it says your name, and I put my name because apparently I keep doing that recently, forgetting that an old video game trope is to name your character when you write your name. So I keep playing games where my character's name is John, which is fine, but it surprises me when it happens.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, John, you are the chosen one.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And then the camera fades in and it's a skeleton. And he's like, nah, I'm just kidding. We're going to kill you soon. I was like, this is really great. Like, there's just a charming quality to it. And, it's very Minecrafty. But I don't know. There's just something about the way the characters run around and are displayed and the way they're showing all of that. It's just fun. It's just really speaking to me. I'm not very far. I basically got through the tutorial where you're, on a ship where they basically, everybody's talking about how they're going to kill you later.
Yeah.
But then the ship starts getting holes and having problems. And because in the Dungeon Quest Builders world, like the ability to build stuff is something that nobody thought of until Builders showed up. They were like, wait a minute. You put things together and make stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
What? Like, they don't know. So somebody's like, I don't know. There's supplies around here. Do you think you could make a torch? And you're like, yeah, I can. And they're like, wow.
Yeah.
So you run around and you just make stuff for them, and they're stoked. And then the ship starts to sink, and they're like, can you build us out of this predicament we're in? And you're like, yeah, I can. And you sort of fix the ship, and then the ship wrecks anyway, and everybody dies. It's
that sounds right.
But
yeah, it's cool.
But
it's
I'm
a cool
having
take.
fun with it.
Yeah,
and it's free on Game Pass.
Yeah, it's for if you got Game Pass, no reason not to try it. But it's a very cool game. It's my only complaint about it in the past has been it's just never on sale. It's always $59. It didn't matter if you wanted it on Switch or whatever. It just felt like the kind of game that needs a discount. Having it on Game Pass is very nice. So there's that. Bo, I'm looking at your list, and you played a hell of a lot of Game Pass. Speaking of Game Pass. Wow. Children of Morta is one of my favorite little recent indies. What do you think of that thing? I like
That's
that game.
a game that I've played the most. I don't know if that I'm very far. I'm still in that first cave, the Pekipolum caves or whatever they call them.
Yep.
The Pukapalum caves, something like that.
Something like that.
I think it's a really great game, actually. What I like about it is I guess you just have this family story that's getting told by this one narrator, and it's just super great.
Yeah.
It's just super.
The story is really good, right? That story is crazy good for weird reasons.
Tells you in little drips and drabs, and I don't know, for an indie game and just the style that it is. I just kind of like the way the guys animate. You can clearly tell who the uncle is. He's got disheveled hair, is like an alcoholic, and I don't know. It really works. I sometimes wish, not that the art style is bad, but it is pixel art, so sometimes there's like a lack of detail. Like it's hard to see. Like I'm playing on the TV. I don't know. It just feels a little blotchy sometimes, and I crave more detail from these beautiful characters.
Yeah.
It's not a complaint though. And the gameplay's all right too. Like it feels pretty good on a controller. It's no Diablo, but it's a ARPG for all intents and purposes. You shoot at things, damage numbers come out. Just no loot system. Really.
You're gonna love the little brother when you unlock him. He has these chakra things, or maybe you already have, but he's awesome.
I've got the two brothers and the girl, the fighter girl.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. You're getting on then. I think grandma. You get grandma eventually. She becomes a.
Yeah, I have 2 or 3 more characters that I haven't unlocked yet. Okay. So maybe I'm assuming grandma's going to be one of them, and probably mom. She's pregnant, so when she gives birth to, I assume she becomes unlocked as well as a character.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I have her either. I know I'm further than you, but not much. That's just a cool game, and they convey a lot with their graphic choice, their style of pixel stuff. conveys a lot of story. It's really well done.
And even though they tell you some story when you return back home, you can also sort of scroll around and find what they're up to. Like you can catch the young boy swimming, Kevin.
Yeah,
Kevin likes to swim. You're like, where? Kevin's not in his room. Where is he? And you look around. He's swimming, and there's a dog you rescue, so you can go search for the dog. Like they're just they're always doing something different, like each time, but not mind blowing, but just moves forward the story a little bit. It reminds me a lot of Hades, like a less like a less interactive, less sort of developed Hades, but like it has the same, like every time I go back, something new's kicked down the road.
The stuff, the interstitial things that tie the runs together, because at the end of the day, it's kind of another roguelike, but they create this story tapestry in between that really ties it together. I like that a lot.
It's really much simpler, but the mood of it, I could see someone not liking the Hades aesthetic because it's very artsy fartsy in a way, like in a good way, but it's still very like, oh, I'm your brother, and let's have a conversation for 2 hours and talk about, do we love each other or are we lovers? Like it's just this whole thing where this Children of Morta is just like a narrator going like, and the Bergsons gathered for dinner, and they had a lovely turkey and told tales and sang songs.
He's got a cool narrator voice, though, right? You like that?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. That's what I mean. But it's like it's very simple compared to the overdone Hades. It's not like badly overdone. It's just Hades is really overwrought. Where this is very, it has that stoic simpleness, I think, to the aesthetic that I like. Anyways, great little game. Yeah, so I probably played that the most, but I have, because there's a lot on the list here. I've like started up a couple of different things. One thing I wanted to talk about, because I watched the first episode of Bad Batch yesterday.
Oh, I heard it's great.
The day before.
Heard good things.
I mean, I love the animated Star Wars. I love it so much. So I'm all signed up for Bad Batch. It has even a first little guest appearance. If you like Rebels, you'll like what you see right in the first few minutes. It's amazing. So I just love that the way they're interconnecting a lot of stuff. So I was like, oh man, I want more Star Wars. So I downloaded Battlefront because I never really played the campaign. I just played multiplayer with you guys. And I played through the whole campaign. So the campaign's actually pretty awesome.
I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
Like the gameplay is like, it's just Battlefront. Like it doesn't blow your socks off. It's fun. But it's not, fun. Like a full blown. She's not Fallen Redhead, full gameplay kind of thing. But like, which is also a really good game. But it's actually a pretty decent story that ties in a pretty interesting way, and actually has like sad moments and stuff. Like it's the full on like, a tale, even if it's really light. But it really, anyways, I really liked it. And I also noticed they use the word Carabast in there.
Ooh. And
I don't know if you guys know about Carabast, but I think the Rebels guy, it's basically, I think, the F word, like Star Wars F word.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I heard it there, and I'm like, they got a character there to say Carabast, and I was like, maybe I should start saying Carabast. It's so ridiculous.
Would you say Carabasting, like you're a effing, but Carabasting?
Get the Carabast out of here.
How would you say this place is effed, but you'd say this place is Carabast? Would you have to?
They don't really use it as a verb in Star Wars, but that doesn't mean we can't do that.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna Carabast you in your butt.
That's right. Like, Nine Inch Nails would say, "I want to Carabast you like an animal." He'd sing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I don't know that it literally means that, sexual intense thing, but like it's it's their swear word. Star Wars doesn't have any swear words, and it's almost ridiculous, like Carabast. Like it sounds like you're trying too hard, right? But I kind of like it too. So
don't they have some? They got Poodoo, which is shit, right?
Yeah, Poodoo.
Yeah.
Is that it? About that. Banta Poodoo. Is that all there is? I guess that's the only swear word.
McClunky. That's not a swear word.
McClunky.
I just want to answer Torek, who says, "Do you need to see any other shows for Bad Batch?" And as far as I can tell, it's just a direct connection from Clone Wars to Revenge of the Sith. And Revenge of the Sith kind of goes back to the final season of Clone Wars, and it's just a continuation. Pretty much picking up, it's pretty much Clone Wars Season 8. There's just, there's no clones because, spoilers, Order 66 happens. and this, but it's about the fate of the clone army because, well, you'll see, but the Bad Batch is very nonconformist, part of the usually conforming clone army. So anyways, I played more Star Wars Battlefront because of that, and that's awesome. So I really recommend the campaign. I actually just like the made up characters they had too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the characters were really good. In fact, I read the book. It was by Christy Golden, who does a lot of Warcraft stuff.
Is it about Iden Versio? Like the?
It is. Yeah, it's a prequel to it. You get to see the squad all kind of come together for Inferno Squad, and it's good. It's a really good novel. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed that story a lot. The last time I played Battlefront 2, I did it for similar reasons to you, Bo. I played through so much of that multiplayer because I was watching the Clone Wars again. Those cartoons will get you wanting to play it. Like those
and it's really immersive because it really feels Roger. You're playing like the actual droids. Summon the droidica. Yeah. Like there's definitely like you get good Clone Wars vibes from that game.
Oh yeah, some of those scenarios are as Clone Warsy as you get. Very nice.
Anyways. So there's that.
Oh, wait, before you say anything, Bo or John, you said something about McClunky. I just wanted everyone at home is like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Check this out. So I'm playing this.
Thing else. And
oh, that's a guy. Hold on.
Now, a lot of people thing on Twitter the other day, and that is...
Hold on.
Please like, subscribe, comment.
Yes, I bet you have. McClunky.
McClunky.
Who says McClunky? I don't know.
Greedo, but apparently, I've been doing a lot of research on edits to Star Wars in preparation for a thing I'm doing on another show. Yeah. But apparently, Sebulba says McClunky.
Oh, really?
At some point as well, and it has its origins in the prequels, and it apparently people think it has a meaning where it means like I'll end you or something like that, because apparently Sebulba or somebody says it, and Greedo now says McClunky.
Okay, here's Sebulba saying it. Let me turn this up.
Ah, Mori.
Okay, I don't care about this.
Hey, you want my wonga? Okay, I will be.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna take it forever to get to
it. Ouch! Chesko Sebulba. Chapoko Umangisa. Mitisa Radical Banapi Chap.
I'm not hearing any McClunky.
Oh, Makalonki.
Oh, there it is.
McClunky.
McClunky. He says it better than Greedo.
Yeah, he does.
Sebulba's got some flair on it.
Oh, the prequels, dude. Jeez Louise, I can't look at these.
Don't you talk trash about the beautiful
prequels.
Prequels.
And I respect... No, I don't. I hate the prequels. I hate them. I don't respect anything to do with them. I respect All right, Duel of the Fates is a badass song. I will give you that. And also, he's awesome.
Pod racing's awesome.
Pod racing is cool when the kid's not talking. It's great.
I think
I'll try spinning. That's a great trick.
Now this is pod racing. Look, there are things to not like, but Phantom Menace, I will say, has grown on me. When I walked out of that movie the first time, I liked it.
Yeah.
Then I went through a period of hating it.
Yeah.
And now I'm at a period where it's still low on my list. Like if I was ranking Star Wars, it's low.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it as much.
You don't hate it. Okay. All right.
Don't hate it.
I can't watch for very long.
It's not as bad as Attack of the Clones, which I used to think was a lot better and is actually the worst.
It's garbage. Yeah. It's not great.
I mean, yeah, I watched Phantom Menace like 4 times in the theater. So, like I think probably I got indoctrinated. Also on the 4th time, I asked a girl out on a date. It was like our first date. We made out the whole time watching that movie. So I got a lot of good associations with Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
I asked a girl out to go see Phantom Menace, and I got stood up. But I got to see the Phantom Menace anyways.
So uncivilized.
Stood up. That sucks. We had an altercation. The theater we went to oversold, and there were like a ton of people standing in there with nowhere to sit, and it got ugly.
Really?
For a minute. Yeah. My friend who's an undercover
can't
cop.
Wait for the next showing. Like, I guess there's no room.
Yeah. It
They
was
have to
weird.
stand there
I
and
blame the
watch it?
theater. The theater screwed up and oversold tickets, and then
Yeah,
my buddy
let them
was
stand.
I had a buddy there with us who was an undercover cop, and he got up and like started to wrangle people because they were getting like violent and like pushy, and it was bad.
Wait, was he incidentally undercover, or was he undercover on a mission at that
He
theater?
was not. So he was all dressed like his undercover persona. He was not on the job technically that night, but normally he's
Okay.
like embedded.
So
with
he
some
was
drug
he was
dealers.
off shift. You mean
He was off shift, yeah. But he looked like a drug dealer because that's what he does. He embeds himself with drug dealers, and his job is he was way.
Stand up and go, hey, McClunky.
Yeah, there was an opportunity.
All the
there.
Star Wars fans sat down. They were like, "Oh."
I didn't mean to interrupt, Bo. You were going to talk about Andromeda's prologue. You decided to give that a swing.
Oh yeah, because usually my segment's short, and I've got a ton of different things, and we're getting, we're over the end, I think, at this point. Mass Effect Andromeda, so far so good. I don't have a complaint about Mass Effect.
Yeah, because
that was much maligned. I'm playing it mainly to
It'll get
see.
there.
It'll get there, eh? It doesn't feel as special as the other Mass Effects so far, but as beginnings go, it still seems promising.
It's got a pretty
I will
decent
say
beginning.
the UI is absolute garbage. I've never really loved the Mass Effect like pause screen, but I was shocked at how bad it is. Like it's just uncomfortable and clunky. I don't like it. I don't. I wish they'd improve that. But overall, it's all right.
Keep going with that.
I'll
So I
report
want
back in.
to hear follow up to that. I want to see how because everyone told me to stay away from that game, but then I've talked to people lately who are like, "Oh, it's all right. I think it got a bad rap. The bugs are gone. It's good." I don't know.
Yeah, I
well,
don't.
I mean that is true.
don't
You're not
spoil
going to
it.
get the
I'll-
buggy experience, but
Right.
I'm not going to say anything because I think Bo should get a clean slate to make his decision on.
Yeah,
So,
like I don't love the plot. They're going to some new system, but it's also not bad. I don't know. I don't think I've hit a point yet where I'm like, "Ooh, I can't play this."
Right.
Because I also did the prologue for Dragon Age Inquisition, and
I like how
didn't
that
like
game
it.
starts. That game
I
starts-
didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just been a while. I think I just have too much rose-colored glasses for Origins.
Hmm.
It just doesn't feel hard. Like it's. There's kind of this like, I don't know, this grimdark kind of just violent sort of take on Dragon Age. And it just felt really clean and manufactured. And I'm already Jesus. You become Jesus. And I'm like, I don't want to be Jesus. I want to be.
Yeah.
I don't like when games put me in the Jesus seat. I'm like, oh no, like I don't want to. It's too on the nose for a video game. You're the only one who can save the universe, and everyone will serve you. I kind of like more like the Valhalla take on things, where you're like, yeah, I guess I'm special, but I don't care. I'm gonna go raid villages anyways. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
I'm 100% with you on that, Bo. Dragon Age Inquisition, I think, gets more credit than it deserves. It's better than 2, but
Definitely better. Than
I'm also a huge fan of Origins and how like brutal and awful that world is. I mean, if you played the Origin where it's the wedding and literally everybody dies at your wedding and you get taken to be forced to marry, somebody else, some lord against your will, like it's dark. Dragon Age doesn't mess around in Origins and is a fantastic game, and it is definitely softer come Inquisition.
I don't know what happened with that series. It bums me out. I hope that new game brings it back to the roots, but Origins was so great. But I also feel like Origins was a core game for people who loved early Baldur's Gate and loved, that kind of thing from that developer. And it was a really great new version of that. And then 2 is like, yeah, but what if people like more of an action-oriented hack and slash? And that was a mistake. That game blew. And the third one tried to bring it back a little bit and sort of succeeded, but also tried to be Skyrim on top of it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a mixed bag.
It wasn't really hitting. Like, definitely the game is smooth and it's all right. It seemed okay to play. I don't like the Jesus story in video games. Like in any game that makes me the hero. I just want to be I want to grow into that power. I think in an Origins, the way it works is you are kind of proving yourself, and as you level up, you grow into the power rather than just they immediately hit me with you're the savior of Andraste. They communicated to you, and it's just like, okay.
I think that's why I like Witcher so much, because The Witcher, you're not that. You're not the Jesus.
Exactly. Witcher, you're like, yeah.
People don't like you. You're kind of...
Skyrim's like that too. Nobody gives a crap about you in Skyrim. You know, you kind of build into that and earn your accolades.
Yeah.
Origins has elements of it with making you a Grey Warden, but then when you find out what makes Grey Wardens so cool, you're like, oh, it sucks. Like this is awful. Like it does elevate you to a platform, but it's like, hey, you're gonna take a ritual, it'll probably kill you, and if it doesn't, the best thing you can do is kill a thing and die because of it. So enjoy that. Go off and have a good time. And you're like, wow, this sucks.
Yeah. Hopefully for something new and something different. We'll see.
Yeah, so I'm sort of in the intro of both of those games. Right. I'm curious about them, and so that's that. And then I finished Torchlight 3.
Finished it?
I think I
beat it.
I beat the campaign.
Oh,
and I'm now on to the endless end game that they have, which isn't very interesting.
Yeah.
I thought maybe I'd want to play it more, but I'm going to tell you guys just to avoid it.
Really?
Like it's okay if you want to load it up, but like it's just.
Was it worth running the campaign though? Did you feel like that was worth it?
Yeah, but it's just hard to recommend. Like it's not bad, but I'm just not going like, oh yeah, that was great. Like sort of by the time I got to the third act, it's like, it's just kind of samey. There's not a lot of inspiration. The cutscenes, which were colored, turn into black and white images. Like there's this sort of like dropping off of effort as it goes on. And it's uneven. There's some really good stuff. And there's some stuff that you're like, I don't know. I just found myself not really caring about the story as I got to the end.
That's a bummer.
The combat wasn't super compelling, I was just kind of playing spin to win mech character, but I don't know. I think I'm just ready to move on. I'm not ready to sort of stick around and keep playing a bunch more Torchlight at this point.
Yeah. Sounds like
I also found out Path of Exile is free on. So I didn't realize this, but you don't have to have a Game Pass to get an Xbox and have free games. They actually have just a ton of free games. So Path of Exile was on there. I kind of switched just to play just to get variety, just to play something different.
How was that on console? I assume it's probably Diablo-like. Probably plays fun.
The gameplay is great. The menu system, like, oh my god, it's a nightmare. Just like because with a mouse, it's easy to drag and drop things places, and in that game, they want you to press all kinds of buttons, and they seem to shift the buttons around. And that game has a ton of systems. So moving stuff in the inventory is
that's why I like the Diablo 3 consolification. They really were smart about how they handled inventory and swapping things in and out. I wish that game was like
Path of Exile is built on that socket system, right? You want to get more sockets, and then you need to move and program the sockets. And it's like press X to lift the gem, press A to drop it in, press Y to put it back. And then you get mixed up because they kind of move around when. And then you actually put a thing where it isn't supposed to be, and you're like, oh, it's supposed to be Y press, not X, and A I press, not Y, and my brain's going like, oh my god, this is the hardest part of the game, is moving my shit around in my inventory. And you spend like 30 minutes in town doing it, where with the mouse, you'd probably be done in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But gameplay is fine. There's just a lot, like Apex is on there. There's a lot of I didn't realize there's a lot of just free games on there.
Yeah.
I also got Games with Gold is apparently this thing where you get free games, I think in perpetuity. So all my old Xbox purchases are on there, and then I got Lego Batman, which is an Xbox 360 game, but I'm like, whatever, it's free, and I got it. So
I like Lego Batman. That's a great game.
Also, I bought Red Dead Redemption on Xbox 360, and I still own it on there, which is actually kind of nice because I never really played it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the backwards compatibility on that's really good. That version.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see all my old purchases. Anyways, I'm sort of on a tangent, but I don't recommend. If you want a console or ARPG, Torchlight 3 will serve you, but it's just hard to recommend. It's just they were charging money for it, right? It's okay on the Game Pass, but I wouldn't. If you said I'm going to spend $40 on this thing, I'd be like, pass, just hard pass on it. Yeah.
A little B tier for that game. That's all right, well, quite the lineup for Bo this week. Now this.
That's a good question.
You may have heard that earlier. You hear it again. We're going to do a quick email from Ziggurat, who wrote in to talktothecore@gmail.com. Talktothecore@gmail.com. Still the #1 email getter on the entire network right now. Don't know why. Just is. Says, hello, Scott, Bo, and John. I did that in the wrong order. Anyway, the new Edge browser is based on Chromium, the same as Google Chrome, but it's arguably a bit faster and works with Edge extensions and Google Chrome extensions. I was surprised too, because I reinstalled Windows and Microsoft Edge begged me to try it, saying it was faster than Chrome. Then I've had less issues with it. Now it is my main browser. Also, I like the imposing look of Western dragons, but Eastern-style dragons are pretty. Have a great day, Ziggurat. So, a little bit of browser advice, and threw a coin to both me and John for our dragon-style choices. So, very nice. It's a nice email.
Yeah, he might be right.
Chrome's or Edge is
so
fine.
Dismissive of Edge. It's probably just fine at this point.
It is. I use it on. I have a version, I have it on my Mac and my PC, and I jump back and forth, and it is fast. It's real good that way. I think I still prefer Brave overall, which is also Chromium based, but is way more secure than most of the Google stuff, and for that matter, Microsoft stuff. So, if you're looking for a fast browser that's still based in the same tech, that's the way to do that. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with Edge these days. It's fine. If you're using Chrome, there's no reason you couldn't use Edge. Everything's importable. It's all syncable. Like, they made a good browser. So use at your own risk, I guess. Send those emails, talktothecore@gmail.com, and that will be about it for us. Now, a reminder, this show is paid for because you guys help us out over at patreon.com/core show. It is why it is on the air and how it stays on the air, because of your good graces. Check it out, patreon.com/core show today. I want to thank everybody who listens to Core that may have supported my Kickstarter, which just ended yesterday rather. It's all hands on deck right now to get the thing done, but we did it, and it was because you guys are super rad and supporting it. Thank you guys all very much. If you haven't heard about this or want to know more, you can check out Rock Runners Incorporated, a game I designed, and its progress over at rockrunners.art. That's where it'll be. Right now it just takes you to the Kickstarter and gives you all those details. There'll be a site up as well soon. And again, huge thanks to everybody who supported it. Talktothecore@gmail.com is our email address. Our website is frogpants.com/core. You can also find us on Twitter, CorePod, John_Jagger. I'm at Scott Johnson. You can find Bo at Bo Schwartz. Speaking of Bo, any final words of wisdom for the crowd before we leave?
You are so beautiful.
Yeah. Can't you see? Oh, that's it? All right. Well, thank you for that. That was great. John, what would you like to add?
Piggybacking off of Bo's, I think you're all right.
He's
nice.
Taller, right?
Yeah.
Tall people.
Very nice
He's
indeed.
so tall.
Well,
Reminds me of car rides.
On that note, we'll be back next time with more. And in between now and then, we hope you guys have a great week. We'll